My provider is the main god. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251, The Cat with a Great Idea. Come on, this 720 is still the same urine, a well-behaved outsider, but after the translation, it is full of Trump. Tang Yuan just chatted with Kias just like that. It's a good thing that he is originally from the mountain city, otherwise this guy's mouth full of Trump would definitely drive people crazy. So he heard from Kias why this guy turned into a cat. Generally speaking, I was originally a high-level druid in the Creamy Village. Hey, what's your expression? Ah, you really are a member of the church? That's fine, come on and get it Dimey, you holy dog who kills thousands of knives. I hid in the bed and watched with my own eyes as my father analyzed your god of light to death. A drop of cold sweat broke out on Tang Yuan's forehead. Well, calm down, I have never heard of any church. By the way, with all due respect, with my temper, if you really have a church like for the kind of church in the Dark Judgment era of the Middle Ages, I might be the first to jump up and rebel. As soon as he finished saying this, Chaos in front of him widened his eyes, and the entire cat's face was clearly excited, and then the guy quickly looked around, and the whiskers around his mouth were trembling. After confirming that there was no one else around, Chaos let out a sigh of relief. The following dialogue has been corrected in Mandarin, and Tang Yuan heard Trump. Dude, although I am very glad that you are a fellow, please listen to me for the sake of saving face. A word of advice, that is, don't say such things casually, you will lose your head if you find out. Oh, but you were the first to talk about the church. Tang Yuan said that he was just a god of light, and I just met you, the god king of the entire void. Does the king of gods understand? When the Chuangshi gods are the god king, he had to respectfully shout, Father, have you eaten? That is to say, the god king is so much higher than your god of light, talking and laughing with me. But you can't say these words casually, otherwise you will be regarded as crazy. So Tang Yuan just smiled and replied, okay, I understand, I will keep a low profile in the future. You continue. Nakerui high-level druid of me village, Chaos children's shoes, why did you become a cat? When Chaos heard this question, he drooped his ears first, looking more aggrieved and aggrieved. Actually, I have already died once, and the so-called Nakrimi village has long since disappeared. It has been hundreds of years. It was destroyed in the Holy Crusade before, and at this time, there is no such sect as the Druids, and you know. The acme of theocracy is the darkest moment of human beings, and now the entire continent is basically shrouded in darkness. In the shadow of the church. Wait a minute. Speaking of which, do I feel like I've heard the name Nakrimi somewhere? Tang Yuan put up a black question mark. All druids have green hair, right? Yet, how do you know? God knows how I know. I just suddenly wanted to ask, so, you have already died hundreds of years ago, and you didn't become a cat until recently, right? Strictly speaking, I didn't become a cat, but I woke up and found that my soul had been imprisoned in a newborn kitten. Well, as you can see, that was also 2 years ago. It's over, now I can better understand nature as a part of nature. The guy said with a sanctified expression on his face. That's right, cats are also animals, at least they are closer to nature than humans, and the gods that druids believe in, if they really want to be called gods, the gods that druids believe in is nature. That's why you can hang a 5-meter-long big cat. Tang Yuan pointed to the Black Panther corpse next to him. Yet, is there a problem? No, let's continue talking. Let me ask again, what, have you ever thought about why you were reborn as a cat? And it will be hundreds of years later. Tang Yuan looked at this guy as if he was enjoying it. Is it possible to adapt to changing from a human to a cat in 2 years? Habits are a terrible thing. I never thought about it. Anyway, all of this is arranged by nature. The so-called gods are actually creatures living in nature, so we don't need to show out to any gods. The only thing that really needs to be in awe is nature. It seems even if this guy died once, he still couldn't give up his druid belief. You must know that this sentence is a proper heresy in the ears of most religions. The druid's natural belief can be said to be complete. He offended all the gods, because according to this statement, the status of gods and mortals is not the same. Question mark. No matter how the god who saves all living beings is such a piss, that is, he will never tolerate his identity being belittled, so that's it. The druid was finally frustrated by the holy expedition. However, That church still believes in the God of light, and also likes to conduct dark trials. A strong breath of blood. Is it a classic routine of domestic fantasy? The XX church that believes in the light will always be a group of sinister villains who are black to the core, while the XX dark church that has been suppressed underground is actually a gentleman. One of the main tasks of the protagonist is to suppress the light and revitalize the darkness? Question mark. You can put it down, no matter what religion it is, it's not much different. Buddhism is still a lot milder because of Xiao Yan's crazy change by that idiot. If it's Buddhism in India, you must know India's caste system, some people but there are no human rights, and the statement has been unanimously recognized by Hinduism and Buddhism. Why are you distracted? Chaos stretched out his paw and scratched Tang Yuan's trouser legs. I'm still talking, and I've already talked about the part where my little sister is getting married. Ah. Tang Yuan was taken aback. Your young lady is going to get married? And then? Then what else can I do? Damn her. Chaos waved his paw. The lord of the city is a coward. He is afraid of the Grover family, but I am not. I am a cat now, eating enough for one person. The whole family is not hungry. At worst, turn over and the birds will turn upside down. Oh. Domineering. And then? Tang Yuan felt that this was probably an ordinary story about a rich second-generation or second-generation official robbing a golden girl, but when the hero in this story is a cat, that would be interesting. Then I personally sneaked into Gruwal's mansion, and found out that Assis had found a good day to go hunting. Then there was no more. I mobilized half of the monsters in the Arakham Mountains. Gruwal, the eldest and second young masters of the Wall family, disappeared from the world. That's amazing, my cat. Tang Yuan clapped his hands repeatedly, and then I regret it. Chaos lowered his head. The bad old man in the Grover family lost his son, and felt unbalanced in his heart, so he planned to blame it on my young lady, saying that Assis was killed by a monster. The attack was because of a curse. I wanted my little sister to be buried with that guy. Maybe it could calm his anger or the pain of losing his son or something, but it was unfair to my little sister, so I got it in advance. This news was told to Miss Sister's parrot, and the parrot revealed the news to Miss Sister. Wise, really smart. Tang Yuan repeatedly gave the cat a thumbs up. In the end, the little sister packed up her things and ran away. Now she and I are in a state of wondering if there is a place to settle down. The current goal is to travel to the Green Agate Principality in the east. There is the only elf on the mainland. Although the country is a bit small, at least, it is like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs set up by the elves in human society. The greenery is very good, and my young lady plans to buy a small forest there to make her home. Does she have no family? Tang Yuan seemed to realize that the young lady that Chaos mentioned seemed to be single, and when he described it before, he said clean up the things instead of caring for the family. Yes, my little sister has always lived alone, and she is very beautiful. I like her. This guy expressed his feelings for his owner without any shame, but after all, you are now it's just a cat. So you are just a cat now, so what if you like her? Tang Yuan asked this question. There will always be a way. I heard that Warcraft can comprehend the power of nature and then continue to grow stronger. Finally, when the power is condensed to the extreme, they can choose their own race again. Although I don't know if it is true, I always want to give it a try, even if it doesn't work. There are many legends about animals turning into humans on the mainland, and I can always find a way. When Chaos talked about this, the cat's face was full of fighting spirit, and it looked more aggressive than humans. People, I want to draw my sword to protect her majestically. I wish you good luck, and I can't help you. Tang Yuan felt that if he helped this guy, he would destroy a beautiful story. He must make this guy's success thrilling and have a sense of accomplishment. So he shook his head helplessly. That's it. Since you said you are still wandering with your young lady, why are you here? Where is your young lady? She's setting up a tent, and I'm out to play. Go back early, I have to leave beforehand. To be continued. Chapter 252. You have too many chapters. After bidding farewell to the storytelling cat druid named Chaos, Tang Yuan walked in a certain direction. Anyway, it's boring. It's not bad to find something to do to kill some time. What? To find other void will. Marka has already gone, and the dog management seems to be able to last for a while, so don't panic about this kind of thing. The main task is not always left until the end. Thinking of this, Tang Yuan began to look at the scenery along the road. In this way, he spent a few days in the open air, met some travelers and robbers along the way, and gain some in-depth understanding of the world. Don't tell me, this kind of world is similar to the Middle Ages. Since human technology hasn't developed much, maybe they still think that the sun is revolving around the earth. The greenery along the way is really good. Standing on the top of the mountain and seeing far away, there is a huge tree on the plain. How big is it? Let's put it this way, there is a dense circle of ants-like houses at the root of the tree. How big do you think this tree is? Those who didn't know thought it was the world tree in Norse mythology. But that tree didn't look like an ash tree either, it looked like an olive tree. Huh? Athena? Maybe it's just a coincidence that there is no Greek mythology in this place, and there are no goddesses of war and mental retardation. Do you have a house? It's amazing to settle down under a big tree, why don't you go and have a look? Talking to himself, thinking that he would be bored anyway, so Tang Yuan pulled his legs and walked over there. As the saying goes, when you look at the mountain and run to death, you can see the giant tree rising from the ground and pointing to the top of the sky from a long distance. However, after walking in the direction of the tree for a long time, the sun is about to set. The distance from that tree hasn't shortened much, so how big is this tree? Question mark. There was no other way, he still had to use an unusual way of traveling. Tang Yuan didn't like spending the night in the wild, so he aimed in that direction and teleported directly. In a blink of an eye, he appeared a few hundred meters away from the houses. Only then did he see clearly that these houses were all built with various colorful stones, and he didn't know that these stones were local specialties of this place. Or there are everywhere in this world. Tang Yuan looked at the scale of these houses and felt that this is just a slightly bigger town, far from being a city. After walking a few steps towards the town, he saw the residents here when he came to the periphery. Huh? Oh, not bad. He narrowed his eyes slightly. The residents of this place all have pointed ears and green hair. When he talked with Chaos before, he already knew that because the druids were immersed in the power of nature, the people in the entire Nakrimi village the hair is all green, but since the druids disappeared, the only green-haired creatures that can be found on the mainland are tree elves. Speaking of the tree elves, Tang Yuan also remembered some background stories he learned from the conversations with travelers. It is said that all elves have a common ancestor, but a long time ago, the people of the Obsidian Church opened a door to hell. Countless demons emerged from it. At that time, human beings had not yet developed much and could not form combat effectiveness, so the elves and dwarves stepped forward to resist the invasion of demons. Then the consequences of directly fighting the entire hell with only two races are unimaginable. The dwarves are put aside. They disintegrated the regime due to huge losses. They were afraid of the human beings who lost the least in this war and their terrible learning ability, so they left the side of human beings and scattered to live in places that no intelligent creatures have explored. The elves living in different places have undergone some changes in their bodies to adapt to the surrounding environment due to their natural affinity. The original elves who have not undergone any changes and retain their ancestors live on islands floating above the clouds, looking directly at the light elves irradiated by the sun, the dark elves who lived in the dark underground caves, the dark elves who adapted to the dark and humid environment, the sea elves who lived by the sea, then slowly adapted to the seawater, and finally moved directly into the water. And this is it, running into some woods, gradually possessing the characteristics of trees, able to carry out photosynthesis, a tree elf who can survive with only water and a very small amount of food. Strictly speaking, it is not clear whether these guys should be counted as creatures or plants. Tang Yuan whistled and looked at the tree elf girl who was drying the clothes over there. It was so cute. The elf's facial features were relatively delicate, and with the pointy ears and the crystal green hair, there was more to it. Final score, full score girl, do you have a boyfriend? Maybe it was because the guy's eyes were too impolite. The tree elf girl seemed to sense something. She turned her head to look at Tang Yuan, pulled out a very forced smile, and nodded to him. Oh, so polite. Tang Yuan almost went up to ask this girl if she was single, but he just thought about it. He was not to the point where he wanted to have sex with a girl, so he put on a very harmless with a smile. He approached the girl and asked, "Miss, are you single?" Miss, I want to ask where is the person in charge of your place?" Then the tree elf girl froze for a moment, and asked, "What do you want from our mayor?" Hey, it's a human. It's amazing that humans can find this place. Well, yes, I'm a human, what's the problem? Tang Yuan scratched his hair. I'm surprised that there are tree elves in this place. Have you settled here for a long time? Yes, at the earliest time, The old grandfather of the mayor found this tree on this plain, and brought a group of people including my grandfather here to build a small village, which later became this small town. Oh. Looking back, it seems to be 6,000 years ago. My father was still a child at that time. The elves are all a bunch of immortals, that's absolutely true. Tang Yuan chatted with a tree elf girl for a while, and after finding out where the mayor was, he went to find the mayor. Unexpectedly, the elves chose to avoid humans at the beginning because they were afraid of the development of human beings. However, this group of tree elves seemed very hospitable. Could it be that after they evolved towards plants, their brains degenerated slightly, causing all the tree elves to lose consciousness? Is it natural? Tang Yuan didn't care about these issues. After a brief conversation with the mayor, village chief mayor's law, the one who can hold this position is definitely an old man with a white beard. The old man with a green beard agreed to let him live in an empty house in this town. At the same time, Tang Yuan inquired about some news like the old man. You said you want to go to the Arachim Mountains. The mayor's eyes slightly opened. It's not a peaceful place, but you adventurers are like this. If you don't die outside, you probably won't die outside. I will be willing. Let me tell you, more than 400 years ago, there was a young man like you in our town who was dressed in black and had white hair on his head. Because his appearance left a deep impression on me, so I still remember that he said that he wanted to go to the Arachim Mountains. I persuaded him a bit, but it was useless, so I let him go and pointed him to the location of the Arachim Mountains. I never saw that again. Young man. Oh, you young people, what a pattern. Tucson is broken. Go to the stage to get clothes. Well, old man, let's talk about business. We got off topic. Tang Yuan turned the old man's thoughts with a voice, and turned around. Oh, yes, you want to go to the Arachim Mountains. I still remember that it was more than 400 years ago, and it happened to be a few months after the white-haired boy left here. There was an avalanche on the main peak, and there were rumors that the Ghanaians did something good. Sigh, it's been so many years, and the Ghanaians haven't heard the news for a long time. I don't know how long we non-human races can last. Master, cough. Oh, let's get down to business, right? That's fine. I'll tell you how to get to the Arachim Mountains, but you have to be careful. Few people go to that place. After you go to the mountains, be careful not to get lost. You humans are not good at this point. The time to live is too short, and you can't remember many things. You see, it's like hundreds of years ago, the Macavino Island in the west. Speaking of it, I used to remember been to that place. The most powerful race in the legend lives there. It seems like 400 years ago, they invaded the mainland once, when your church was wiped out by a group of Zezhua warriors. The result, it's only been a few hundred years, and you humans still don't have a long memory, and you're starting to suppress us non-human races again. Sigh. Master, I beg you not to digress, okay? Tang Yuan was about to kneel down to the old man, and he cupped his hands in tears and said, "Your old man, just show me the way and tell me what happened to the Arachim Mountains. Just go, okay? And, in front of a human like me, is it really okay for you to talk about the black history of these human beings?" The old man of the mayor chuckled. "Young man, you are different from those people. Your eyes are shining with wisdom. I can see that you do not believe in gods blindly and crazily. Actually, let me tell you another thing. In fact, the god of light is below the sun god, even worse than the goddess of dawn. So let me tell you, you must not spread the word, or you will be burned to death by them. Master, just point me in the same direction, please don't digress." Tang Yuan knelt down. "Oh, well, the Arachim Mountains are in this direction." The old man pointed to the northeast. "You can find a road after walking in this direction for about 10 days. It was built by you humans. It leads to the nearest city to the Arachim Mountains. It seems to be called, what is it called? I just remember that there is a very famous old family in that city, and the surname seems to be Gruwal or something." Tang Yuan's eyes lit up. The Grover family. Caius had told himself not long ago that the reason why that guy wandered around the world with his young lady was thanks to the Grover family. And this is also the target of Tang Yuan's next action. Anyway, he is idle, so he simply did a little favor for that druid. Tang Yuan was planning to go to that city from the beginning to see what the Grover family can do. What a big deal. To be continued. This chapter is full of Easter eggs. Those who know it, and those who don't know can't find it out. Anyway, these are all my black history. Maybe it's the foreshadowing of some future novels. Chapter 253, Selling Popsicles. So, Following the direction pointed by the old tree elf, Tang Yuan faced northeast and continued his journey. But he didn't have to walk for more than 10 days, because this guy was not stupid enough to actually walk there. He exchanged for a small three-wheeler, and watched the hot summer, selling popsicles along the way. Although there aren't many places where human beings live in this wilderness, you can still meet some travelers, caravans, robbers and so on occasionally. These are Tang Yuan's main source of customers. The robbers will be beaten by Tang Yuan one meal, and then the price of a popsicle doubles, and if you don't buy it, you will be beaten. Travelers and caravans are easier to talk to. After all, they are good people who abide by the law, aren't they? Who wouldn't want to have a popsicle that's cold from head to toe when you're sweating profusely from walking in the sun? Not to mention that in this world, popsicles are definitely a novelty. These traveling adventurers and businessmen thought Tang Yuan was a magician with nothing to do, or poor and crazy, selling popsicles to make money. So whether they really wanted to eat popsicles or simply wanted to make friends with this magician, everyone generously bought a popsicle and stuffed it in their mouths to suck it up. Don't even mention it, this thing is really popular. Tang, I feel that if I have this idea, I might really be able to start a food company on this continent. However, it is estimated that it is impossible for a magician to surrender his identity and run to produce popsicles. After all magicians aim to find the truth. What? Human high-end combat power. Magicians are indeed very powerful in combat, but they are not willing to sacrifice their research time to go to battle. You must know that things like magic cannot be learned by sitting cross-legged and absorbing elements. Long A Ocean said that his face hurts. You need to communicate with the elements through specific spells. Affinity is a joke at all. How are the elements arranged? Formula. Conversion between various formulas and mantras. Losses incurred during conversion. Many magicians have devoted their entire lives to the research of elements, and in the end they just come up with a spell that is simpler, faster and more efficient to drive elements. In this way, they are still ecstatic and feel that their life's research is very worthwhile. The above refers to elemental masters, and there are other branches of magicians. If it is really commercialized, rune masters are willing to sell popsicles, because runes are the easiest to learn among all magic, but it is also the most difficult knowledge to master. Many half-baked rune masters can only go to the street to sell some low-end runes, such as fire runes for wildfires, and frost runes for indoor cooling in summer. By it can be seen that someone has invented the air conditioner, and those who want to sell popsicles must hurry up. And the recently emerging lightning runes, which are said to be used to drive some gadgets made by alchemists. Tang Yuan heard all the above from travelers and caravans. He felt that this continent seemed very interesting, and he had an urge to travel in this continent. So along the way, he pedaled a small tricycle and yelled, "Sell popsicles. Liang Jinjin's popsicles, get one on a hot day, and keep you as cool as the 12th lunar month in winter. One popsicle for 1 silver coins." Yep, now he's changed his job to be a popsicle peddler again. However, Tang Yuan still underestimated the charm of this thing. A few days later, when he arrived in a small town, he was surrounded by a group of little kids. It seems that some travelers have already been here first and spread the word rumors about popsicles. 1 silver coin. 1 silver coin is worth 100 copper coins, and pork is only 20 copper coins at Caddy. Calculate the prices on this continent. 1 silver coin is 50 yuan. No wonder these little kids who want to buy popsicles, they are all well dressed, and they seem to be the children of rich families. By the way, it's super bloody. The exchange rate between gold coins and silver coins fluctuates up and down, but generally it is around 110 and the floating value does not exceed 2, so the annual expenditure of an ordinary family is only about, gold coins. I won't tell you the background of the times, but see for yourself if you can figure out why. Legend has it that there is a higher-end currency called holy coins on top of gold coins. Tang Yuan didn't care whether these children had money at home. Anyway, a popsicle cost 1 silver coin, and soon his pockets bulged, although it meant nothing to him. There is no such thing as intellectual property rights on this continent, so the development of things is very interesting. That is, after half a month, things like popsicles became popular, and after another month, this thing was completely popular all over the continent. The rune masters selling popsicles on the streets constitute a beautiful landscape. That's right, popsicles. The production process can be figured out with a little brain. They just never had this idea before, that's all. Many inventions are like this. Before it appeared in the world, no one had any inspiration for it. After it appeared, Many people quickly figured out how this thing works, and spread it widely. Although there is no patent protection, all rune masters insist that the first person to invent popsicles is an adventurer named Tang Yuan, who is the ancestor of the popsicle world. When the rune masters spread the popsicle technology to each other, they must declare righteously that this was invented by a man named Tang Yuan. So Tang Yuan became popular without his knowing. Well, popsicle master, Tang Yuan, sounds really powerful. Whereas Tang Yuan at this time, he pedaled the small tricycle all the way, and finally arrived at the destination of his trip. He kept inquiring about the news of the Grover family along the way, and finally figured out the name of the city where the Grover base camp was located. A mere city. Legend has it that hundreds of years ago, at that time, Emil City belonged to a family's private territory, and that family once stood in the camp of a certain humanoid race, Zhejiao, when Macavino invaded the mainland. It seems that because the Naffa family was persecuted by the church, so driven by hatred, they chose to cooperate with non-human races, and on the side of Macavino, the Zhejiao didn't know what they thought. They actually accepted the Naffa family as comrades in arms. With the help of such a human ally, Zhejiao mastered many human weaknesses, fought all the way to the holy city at that time, and crushed the church to scum. But unexpectedly, this group of alien races who invaded the mainland didn't seem to have harmed the civilians very much, and the only human victims were the clergy. However, the Naffa family betrayed the church, and under the crazy belief of humans in the god of light at that time, the Naffa family was directly charged with the crime of betraying mankind. And then, when the angry crowd rushed into the city of Amir, when I went to the main mansion, I found that there was no one there. The Naffa family disappeared mysteriously like this, and no one knew where they went. Tang Yuan said that when he heard this, it was like reading a novel. It was so powerful. He even wanted to know what happened after that, but after all, it was a legend he heard from others and he was in some places. From the historical materials found in the small library, the story about the Naffa family came to an abrupt end here. Now this Amir city has long been the territory of another small family, and the city lords of all generations have been members of this family, but this is not the point. The source of most of the income in this remote city, the family, that is, Grover. A while ago, the first and second heirs of the Grover family, that is, the eldest young master and the second young master, the two brothers went out hunting together with a dozen guards, and they never came back. Later, someone was caught outside the city. A large number of demonic beasts have been found in a distant place, and by the way, a saber of the young master Assis was found. It seems that there is no need to elaborate on what happened to them. However, this did not affect the power of the Gruwal family in Emil City. After all, the loss this time was only 2 heirs and a dozen guards. But there are still many people in the city who know the ins and outs of this incident. What happened to the Grover brothers was not just an accident. If this incident is to be elaborated, a woman must be involved. A young woman who used to run a flower shop in an old house in the south of the city. To be continued. Chapter 254. If you can fly, you can be called a sword master. Since Emil City is close to the Arakham Mountains, it can be regarded as a relatively dangerous place. Perhaps if it weren't for the lack of aggressiveness of the monsters, it might be built as a fortress by the country. But this city has been a paradise for hunters and adventurers since a long time ago. It's okay for hunters to say that they are usually local hunters. Everyone knows whether you are wearing underwear when you go out today, so if you are just a hunter, this place is still peaceful and harmonious. But the problem lies with the adventurers. You know, the guys who come out to take risks are all risking their lives. They may be searching for ancient ruins, looking for treasures of the predecessors, or even just simply risking their lives. Anyway, this is all a group of guys with their heads tied to their waistbands ready to be thrown away at any time. There are also desperados who have committed major crimes in their own country and are wanted and wandered all over the world. If one day you hear someone in a tavern saying that you raped a princess, don't be too busy making fun of him, because that guy might be telling the truth. Therefore, since Emil City wants to accept this large group of mixed fish and dragons, it must make certain compromises. Although adventurers have to restrain themselves a little in this city, in general, the overall atmosphere of this city is still better than that of inland cities. There is a lot of chaos. At least the guards in the city will not interfere too much with the affairs of the adventurers. Outsiders who disagree with each other can always be seen on the street, unless it affects the local residents. Otherwise the guards will just turn a blind eye. Who let these uncles feed our city to a large extent, If the adventurers don't come here, then the city of Amir will be depressed in a short period of time. After all, there are not even a few farmers here, and the food is purchased from other places. In half a month, most of the residents have to move. It was precisely because of this chaotic management that when Tang Yuan walked into the gate of the big city, the guards didn't even look at him, but just out of professional habit, they said to him, "Be safe, don't cause trouble after entering." You asked the little tricycle, I lost it. Anyway, it was just to pass some time on the way, so I just sold popsicles, and I arrived at the destination, and I was still riding a small three-wheeler. Is this really to carry forward the popsicle business in this foreign world? So Tang Yuan's current attire gave people a vague sense of disobedience. Old black coats, this is normal. Most adventurers don't bother to buy new clothes, because they may be broken again in a few days, so don't laugh when you see those guys in worn clothes. Maybe they can use gold coins to buy new clothes. You are stoned to death. There are various accessories on the clothes, such as a belt hanging from the shoulders with many buckles, which can be used to hang some small things when necessary, and a leather shoulder pad temporarily tied on the left shoulder, fixed on the small piece of leather armor on the left chest. These lightweight equipment will not hinder your actions too much, but it will allow you to have a greater survival rate when you go out. But the problem lies in this. The shape of the equipment on Tang Yuan's body may be slightly different from the mainstream in this world, but it is not enough to make people understand what it is, and it is not enough to be regarded as a strange outfit. But nothing on him, nothing like water bladders, herbal bags, money bags, medical kits, nothing on the buckles, and the guy doesn't even have a weapon, in the eyes of outsiders. Hell, you are ashamed to say that you are out for an adventure, shame. Tang Yuan was also very puzzled. Why did those people walking all the way stare at him? Is there something on the face? Impossible. He looked down at himself back and forth, but couldn't find anything wrong. It wasn't until he looked at the people around him who were dressed similarly to him that he noticed that he was missing those pendants. This was very embarrassing, so he found a place where no one was around, and touched a bunch of things from the exchange list. After embellishing it on his body, he looked a lot more normal, and there were even several swords and swords hanging from his waist. Those who didn't know thought this guy was a certain sword master. Speaking of the sword master, Tang Yuan learned about the so-called cultivation system in this world along the way. There is no system. What kind of grading and subsections are embellished with several stars, and finally it is counted as the first, middle and last 3 periods or something. It does not exist. A master can determine the opponent's strength just by his own eyesight. If he can't see it, then it is probably equal to or even stronger than his own strength, and only the subordinates can see the real chapter of his own strength, and ordinary people may not have the knowledge of masters. This kind of vision, so the battle is more simple and rough. Draw the knife and see who is stronger and quicker. There is no so-called fighting spirit, only a body that has no restrictions and can be infinitely strengthened through exercise. As for Juggernaut, there are quite a few of them on this continent, but it's not the kind that just floats in the sky with nothing to do, overflowing with vindictiveness, and when the interest comes up, Ruru yells twice and shouts, "Dare you, thief!" That kind of Juggernaut. The Juggernaut mentioned here refers to the kind of Juggernaut who immediately withdraws the sword when it is drawn, and then the opponent a few meters away suddenly splits into dozens of pieces, the kind of Juggernaut. Tang Yuan said that based on his current basic attributes, it is not a problem to pretend to be a sword master or something, just like what Ashura Unicorn Immortal said to Kitayu. Obviously the whole body is full of flaws, but there is a kind of if it is true I feel like I'm going to die if I make a move. Tang Yuan probably can do that. So when I came to the street again, the strange eyes of the people around me finally disappeared. Look, this is what a qualified adventurer should look like. These things should be hung on the body properly. What? Space ring? Come on bro, do you really think that if the space technology is researched, you can only make 1 or 2 rings? Magicians have spent most of their lives studying and can only deal with elements, and things like space have not even been proposed as a basic concept yet. No. Maybe there is already the concept of space. It is said that there is a sword master who can cut through space with a single sword, but that is only a powerful attack to a certain extent. If you really want to study and use space, if so, it may have to wait for thousands of years. Thinking about what was there, Tang Yuan looked up, and saw a big wooden sign hanging there, which seemed to be the signboard of a tavern. No matter what, the tavern is always the place with the most people, and he wanted to inquire about some news. If so, I still have to go to the tavern. Golden wine barrel. He It sounds quite interesting. Okay, this is it. Talking to himself, he walked in, ready to inquire about the Grover family. To be continued. I'm short, but I'll take care of you. Chapter 255 Bounty. As soon as you walk into the tavern, you will be greeted with a dry and hot breath. All kinds of good or bad smells rush into your nostrils, converging into an indescribable smell, and your ears are full of pushing the sound of cups being exchanged, tableware clashing, shouts of the boss has another tendon, the sound of elders talking, waitresses' screams, obscene laughter, and slaps. As soon as Tang Yuan walked in, the people near the door of the tavern gave him a reflexive glance, then turned their heads back, and continued to drink and brag. He squeezed through the dense crowd, standing or sitting, and accidentally touched the waiter's little sister's buttocks, and was slapped back. Come over. Tang Yuan first smiled, pointed to the blonde waitress and said, that girl is pretty good. So the bearded uncle kept a stern face, as if he was reading a textbook, and declared like he had said it countless times, she is just a waiter, don't think too much. It's because you think too much? Tang Yuan replied, here's a barrel of honey wine, or beer if you don't have any. Do you have squid here? Squid can only be found fresh in coastal cities, and only dried squid is available in this place. Forget it, let's have a steak, you can decide how mature it is, please recommend it. Okay, a small barrel of meat and a steak, 5 silver coins. He counted 5 silver coins from his pocket and took them out, and lined up on the counter. The bearded man grabbed the 5 silver coins and weighed them in his hand, nodded, turned around and roared into the big curtain behind, a steak, medium rare. Then he took out a small wooden barrel from under the counter, and brought out a plate of jerky cut into pieces. It's given away when you spend 1 silver coin, and you can have a drink first. Oh. Tang Yuan looked back at the entire venue of the tavern, saw that there were so many people that there was no place to sit down, and saw that there was a row of chairs nailed to the ground in front of the long counter. Several people were already seated, so he sat here directly. Not far from the side with a bearded man, he knocked on the counter, I'm sitting here. The bearded man nodded, ignored him, and stood behind the counter with his hands folded, his hands on the countertop, motionless, looking like a statue. After drinking some wine, Tang Yuan reckoned that the steak should be ready by now, and sure enough, at this moment, the bearded man came over with a steak 2 palms in size and put it in front of him. On both sides of the plate were 2 table knives. I heard that forks it will be delivered to you only when you eat chopped vegetable leaves, salad, otherwise there are only 2 table knives, which seem to be divided into left-handed and right-handed knives. Generally speaking, the right-handed knife is sharper and has a little experience in eating Western food. If it is not difficult to master the usage of 2 table knives, so he did not show any abnormalities. The taste of the steak is quite satisfactory. It would be even better if it wasn't covered with a layer of creamy jam. The alien is really wonderful. After disposing of most of the steak, Tang Yuan slowly put down the knife, and when he was about to ask the bearded man for a question, he saw that guy looking at him with an indescribable expression, so he was stunned and asked, what's wrong? The bearded man said quietly, it's been a long time since I've seen a guy who eats well like you. Those rough people eat with a knife, as if they want to show how good their knife skills are. How bold and unrestrained a person is. Oh, this. It's just a habit, and you don't express yourself through these methods, don't you? Tang Yuan smiled. This is the first time I've been here in a mere city, so many adventurers piled up together? Wouldn't it pose any threat to public security? The bearded man understood that this guy wanted to inquire about some information, but since he had already made a purchase, he usually asked these guys casually, so he also came over. For example, Tang Yuan continued, for example, the guy who doesn't have eyes has offended local snakes or something. Is there any gang or family with greater influence here? I might need help from this kind of force for something. There are no gangs. If you insist, there is a branch of the Bounty Hunters Guild in this place, but it has little influence. The bearded man said, as for the family, it is just the Gruwald family. There used to be say the Kaw family, but they have moved a few years ago and completely abandoned the industry in a mere city. If you really want to say that the strength of Sika is much stronger than that of Gruwald, but their business has slowly slowed down a long time ago. It was transferred to the imperial capital, so in the end, it directly gave up the origin of Emil City and moved to the imperial capital. Maybe it was because the successive generations of patriarchs were relatively gentle. Anyway, the Grover family is now a mere city. The actual manager and the city owner sometimes have to act according to Isnia's face. Oh. Is that Isnia the patriarch of this generation of Grover? Or the patriarch? Tang Yuan blinked. I also heard some rumors when I came here, saying that it was a while ago Isnia's two sons were attacked by a large group of monsters while hunting. Maybe this will deal some blow to Grover. Without even thinking about it, the bearded man popped out a sentence. Don't talk about Dick, cough. I mean, the impact is almost non-existent, because the current family business is still in charge of Isnia, and their family seems to have been. They all wait until the heir takes over the position of patriarch before slowly taking over the family business. I really don't know why such a family hasn't collapsed yet. Okay, I understand, but a family is different from a gang. If I want to ask for help, it's better for the gang to come and talk, and just use the money to do things. How is the situation of the Bounty Hunters Guild? Tang Yuan asked. The branch leader is pretty nice, but he doesn't like to entangle with people from other forces, so the guild branch has no sense of existence. The bearded man replied, but occasionally some adventurers go there to see the rewards and so on. It's not going to close the door. If you really want to ask someone for help, maybe you can go there and have a try. Well, thanks. So Tang Yuan finished his steak in a few strokes, picked up the barrel and drank the remaining half of the barrel of wine. There was a lot of applause from around, wiped his mouth and walked out of the tavern, looking for the pedestrian, asked where the branch of the Bounty Hunters Guild was, and then walked directly there. When it comes to bounty hunters, in the earliest days it was just the job of chasing fugitives and sending them to the public security department in exchange for bonuses. In reality, they usually appear in the western United States. Help with other things. With more and more bounty hunters, finally, the guild was formed. Since then, the handover of bounty has become more formatted and efficient. In those novels, the so-called mercenaries are simply misunderstood. The real mercenaries are actually mercenaries, so they will not take on those ridiculous tasks of finding people and collecting materials. Their goals are always small-scale or even large-scale. There will be no mercenary union in the war. So when Tang Yuan walked into this dilapidated building, the first thing he saw was all kinds of arrest warrants, large and small, all over the wall. All of them were sketches of the upper bodies of some people. Perhaps the humans in this world have mastered a certain level of printing technology, otherwise just drawing pictures would exhaust people to death. Tang Yuan found the girl at the counter and asked, "Excuse me, there was a woman who left here with a cat and a parrot a while ago. She should be a local resident, and she may have luggage. Do you have anything here? Information." The girl at the counter had a textbook-like smile on her face, bowed slightly, and said, "You're talking about Lian Amberflower, right? She has already been offered a private reward. Well, I'll look for the arrest warrant, thank you." Tang Yuan thanked him and went back to the wall covered with the mugshots, and began to search for the name Lian Amberflower. Was offered a private bounty. Needless to say, it must have been done by the Grover family, and it was said to be private. In fact, this may be more important than the arrest warrant of the city lord of Emil City. Sure enough, Tang Yuan searched and soon saw a relatively new arrest warrant, which showed a woman with medium-length hair. Although the portrait was black and white, he noticed a pair of slightly pointed ears. Amberflower is such a strange surname, and the ears are a bit pointy. Could it be an elf? That's not right. Tang Yuan has seen tree elves before. It seems that elves' ears are longer than this one. Could it be the elves' mixed blood? Well, at least it must be of elf blood, and it looks pretty. No wonder that guy KS said he wanted to fuck his own young lady. This Miss Lian is indeed a beauty. Tang Yuan looked at the numbers below again. Oh, 1,000 gold coins. If you calculate the purchasing power on this continent, it's almost hundreds of thousands of RMB. That old man in Isnia is really determined to give his son Zay's Hiling an explanation. And this thing was actually done by KS. It is impossible for Isnia to know, which means that this old guy really threw out 1,000 gold coins to buy Miss Lian's head just to vent his anger. He really is a rich man, no taking money seriously, and not taking human life seriously. It's interesting. Oh? There's still a briefing? The last time it appeared was in Beastbone Town in the southwest mountain range. Tang Yuan felt that the adventures of Chaos and the others were not over yet. Look, the Grover family is still there. It's really a bit of a skill. People have already run away, but they can still find the last place where they appeared, and the southwest mountain range is in the southwest of the mainland, and the Ilacum Mountains are in the northeast of the mainland, basically across the continent. This can also be found come out. Question mark. Talent, really talent. To be continued. It feels like I have been crazily complaining about domestic fantasy in these few chapters. Will it offend people? Chapter 256 Detective Tang Yuan. 163 Hoha. Nettie Staffa is good. Text. Although he now knows the whereabouts of Li Yan, Tang Yuan has no plans to find her. If he really wanted to find her, he had met KS a while ago, and he would have met Lei when he went back with him. It's alright, but tell me, what do you do with her if you have nothing to do? What Tang Yuan was interested in was only the ins and outs of the previous incident. His intuition told him that this matter was definitely not that simple. If he was attracted by the rich second generation just because he had elf blood and was beautiful, what about that? A self-righteous idiot author would never write such a cheesy plot. So he went back to the counter again, and showed a real smile to the little sister sitting in the counter. Well, sister, this lean amber flower or something. Where does she live? I feel it is necessary to investigate and investigate. The girl at the counter tilted her head. Are you interested in this bounty? Yes, because it is a private bounty. The agency fee charged by the guild is twice that of the official bounty, which is 20%. Speaking of, you also understand that this woman has done nothing wrong, right? Tang Yuan asked, is this usually the case for private rewards? Who wants to buy someone else's head or something like that? It's about the same. Generally speaking, people who are worth this price are not too badly skilled, and there are very few private rewards, so there will be no chaos in the world, because our trade union is absolutely neutral. We only need to issue rewards, entrusted items and bounties are enough. In fact, in my conscience, I really want to quietly tear up Lean's arrest warrant, but I will lose my job and be retaliated by someone. Maybe I will die in the sewer, right? If there's anything worse than this kind of death, that is, when my body was found without clothes, at least the lower body was without clothes, well, that's what it means. Tang Yuan felt that the little girl's smile was forced, but he didn't plan to say anything. After all, life is chosen by people. Sometimes blindly helping others is not really helping, and it may also be in a situation that he doesn't know. The next time I gave people a pit. I'm sorry I said a lot of meaningless things. Li Yan's residence is an old house near the small park in the south of the city. I can say so much. The girl at the counter lowered her head and continued to flip through the thick book in her hand after she finished speaking, but then she made a very small voice. My mortgage will be paid off in 3 months. I really don't want to lose this job. And, big brother, let me tell you, although Miss Li Yan usually looks gentle, she is actually very scary. If you really want to offer a reward, the bounty hunter who can be driven by a mere 1,000 gold coins will definitely not be on her. Hold on for 10 seconds. I don't suggest you go to trouble with her. Oh. This counter girl is so interesting, the fighting flower among the strange ones. And what she said always had a feeling of inconsistency. Before she said that she wanted to tear up Li Yan's arrest warrant, but now she said that Li Yan was scary. If it was really scary, why should I worry about it? Why do you want to help tear up the wanted warrant? Tang Yuan thought about it, and felt that the truth should be that this Li Yan did have a certain combat power, but it was probably just at the price of 1,000 gold coins, and those bounty hunters who could be driven by the amount of 1,000 gold coins would probably make Li Yan was struggling. But he really wasn't worried at all. Worried about what? I don't know that woman, and let's not talk about the woman's combat effectiveness, let's just talk about the cat she raised. KS is not a vegetarian. So according to his original plan, Tang Yuan wanted to understand the cause and effect of the previous incident, but he looked at the girl at the counter as if she didn't want to talk to him anymore, and if she continued to entangle, she would only get more wrong information. So simply left the guild building. It seems that this woman is not considered worthy of fighting against the Grover family because of her, so the guild simply accepted the reward. He looked at the guild building that was fading away behind him, and murmured. He said, "You are all wrong. KS is a dangerous guy. That is the last druid on the mainland. Once he is really restored to human form, it is really unimaginable." Regarding druids, he also checked relevant records in some libraries. Due to the crazy belief in the god of light, people from other religions are described as heretics who sell their souls to evil gods in exchange for power. Cultists who call themselves druids can change the surrounding environment. Individual powerful guys can even drive lightning and magma, and even summon meteorite groups. In the records, advanced druids refer to those who can already hear the words of nature. The people in this group happen to belong to the kind that can summon meteorite groups. the strongest group, and above that there are only priests and high priests. If you want to describe it, it is probably the archbishop in Christianity. Up there are the cardinals and the pope. But what is very interesting is that Tang Yuan also found an unofficial history in the related records of the Druids, saying that after hundreds of years ago, the hometown of the Druids, the village of Nakrimi, was wiped out by the Holy Expedition. There was a surviving war, the girl who lost her right arm was helped by the witch at the time, and finally joined the camp of the intruders Zezhou. It is said that she seemed to be married to the patriarch of Zezhou at that time, and that girl finally killed the pope at that time with her own hands. I can only say that hatred is a very terrifying force. But unofficial history is unofficial history. I don't know if it is true or not, so Tang Yuan didn't take it to heart. Soon, he came to the area in the south of the city, and from a long distance, he saw an old house that was a head taller than the surrounding buildings, and it should be there. After walking over, he found that the old house had been completely scrapped. There were holes everywhere in the walls, and even the gate had been knocked down. When he looked inside, all the furniture had been destroyed, and the house was in a mess. It's tough enough. He looked around and saw that there were people living on the left and right of the house, so he went to the door of a house next door and knocked on the door. Here we come. Soon, a middle-aged man opened the door impatiently and looked at him. Are you planning to inquire about Li Yan again? I told you all, but she only told us in the end that she was going to Southwest Mountains. We don't know what's next after that, and if we knew, we wouldn't say. After he finished speaking, he was about to close the door, and he was still muttering, "Damn bounty hounds, they all fed their consciences to themselves for money." Well, uncle, you misunderstood. Tang Yuan put his hand into the crack of the door with an innocent face, and stuck the door. It hurts to look at it, but his expression didn't change. I didn't come to ask for a reward, I'm just curious about the story of that Miss Li Yan. The middle-aged man froze for a moment, then pushed the door open again. Are you an out-of-town boy? Everyone in the local area knows about this, but they are all overwhelmed by Grover, so don't dare to speak casually. Even if you go to the tavern to ask, you won't be able to ask anything. Well, I'm here to risk my life. When I earn enough, million from her mother, I'll go back and marry my wife. Tang Yuan nodded. I heard that the two young masters of Gruel were attacked by monsters. Seeing that Li Yan was offered a bounty at the Bounty Hunters Guild, I was wondering how this had something to do with that Li Yan. In fact, Tang Yuan knew the relationship between Li Yan and this matter, but he was just curious why the rich second generation of Assis, and the rich second generation who overwhelmed the sky in the local area, why he let so many beauties go, but why he fell in love with Li Yan, even if she was a beautiful woman, even if she was a half-breed elf. But there were definitely more beautiful girls than her in the local area. There must be some reason for Assis to do so. So what he has to do now is to listen to the ins and outs of this matter, ponder over the details, see if there is anything unreasonable, and then investigate that. To be continued. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257 The Man Who Cooks Shit Behind the Scenes. Surprisingly, this really seems to be just a classic routine. Assis is like the standard rich second generation mentioned in those textbooks. He idles around all day long and knows nothing about learning. He only knows how to spoil girls all day long. Character of. Suddenly one day, this guy seemed to be crazy, and he became sexually interested in women of different races. For a while, no matter if it was a caravan or an adventurer of a different race, those whose fists were not big enough were all tossed hard by him. Moss, elf, sander, centaur, Assis is really heavy taste, Helbia, harpy, so Assis's head may not be normal. This guy seems to want to be the next Sadwind, determined to become a seeding machine in nature. Then he turned his mind on Li Yan. Tang Yuan felt something was wrong when he heard this, because according to the description just now, Assis seemed to be interested in pure alien races, and he also asked this uncle, and it was true that Assis had expressed that he did not like humans and other races. He is not interested in the mixed blood of foreign races, even if the appearance of some foreign races mixed with humans is more in line with human aesthetics. In this case, why did Li Yan, a hybrid of elves and humans, become his target? This is not the only doubtful point. What Tang Yuan wants to know is why this guy Assis suddenly became interested in other races, and if other women of other races were just ruined by him, why did he think about it? Want to force Li Yin to marry him? The uncle was also puzzled by Tang Yuan's question, and said, "Aren't you quite capable? Go and find out for yourself. I've finished what I should say, please go ahead." Well, after serving tea to see off the guests, Tang Yuan didn't have the guts to continue sitting, so he thanked him and got up to leave. Afterwards, he asked several neighboring residents and the information he got was similar, except that some details were improved, which made him even more curious about Ass's plan. Maybe there really is an intuition. Tang Yuan always feels that this matter is really not simple, and it is very likely that a bigger incident will be involved. This kind of strong unknown and the feeling of constantly exploring the periphery of the truth makes him feel relaxed and happy. It seems that I am quite suitable to be a detective, he said to himself, and finally came to a magnificent building, the city lord's mansion, a large mansion not far away. This is the residence of the Grover family. Tang Yuan looked at the gate of the house. Black sandalwood, you really don't take money seriously. Tang Yuan thought for a while, and found a very interesting item from the exchange list. Carton. It is said that it is a prop that a legendary mercenary with the code name Snake likes to use. The cutting-edge achievement of espionage infiltration technology exchange price. I am really embarrassed to take your money, give it away for nothing. He looked at the big cardboard box that was big enough to fit a person, scratched his hair, and said to himself with a straight face, "I've kept you waiting." Then he squatted down and slipped in the box the mansion of the Grover family. Not to mention, this local tyrant's house is well guarded. In fact, the richer people are, the more afraid of death they are. There are guards every few meters. Basically, there are no blind spots. There are even people on the roof, standing guard. The city lord's family didn't dare to arrange heavy guards like this. Hey, you look like you want to rebel. Soon, Tang Yuan slowly touched a corner, where a guard stood motionless not far away, while the left and right guards were patrolling. He quietly moved to the side and rear of the guard step by step, and then took out a dagger and pinned it next to the guy's neck. "Don't move, the guard screamed in a low voice, and then raised his hands. "I won't move, I'm just a little guard who can't make a difference. Don't hurt me. Lie down on the ground and put your head in your hands," Tang Yuan said in a low voice. "Okay, no problem." So the guy obediently lay down on the ground, holding his head in his hands. "Where is Isnia?" I said. "Lord Isnia is now in the study. Walk in that direction and go to the independent cabin with a small pond in front of the door, which is the study." "Very good," Tang Yuan said. "Just keep lying here, move around and you'll be done." After finishing speaking, he left here quietly. A few minutes later, the guard lay on the ground and whispered, "Hello? Are you still there?" He didn't hear the answer, but he didn't dare to really move. What if that guy was guarding behind him? Just move yourself and you're done. God knows if that guy left or not. Come on, lie down obediently. At this time, Tang Yuan had already carried a cardboard box to the door of the study, saw the light in the study from the small opening of the cardboard box, so he quietly went under the window, wanting to hear if there was any movement inside. Sure enough, he heard two voices talking inside. "My lord, I've already asked someone to put a bounty on that woman. You see, the next step I should..." This sounded like a middle-aged voice, and if it's correct, it should be that guy Asnia. "It's none of your business in the future. Remember not to let people know what you did to your son. Let them both be forgotten forever. It's good for you and me. Don't ask me that kind of thing again." The source of the medicine. "After all, I have no reason to kill you now." This voice is a bit interesting, neither male nor female. It should be said that it sounds like a mix of male and female voices, like a man and a woman talking at the same time. "Yes, my lord. But if the woman's identity is really what you said, then the bounty hunter who can see 1,000 gold coins is definitely not capable of bringing back her body. Should we?" "Shut up. Bounty hunters are related to each other. As long as more and more people die at her hands, there will be stronger and stronger guys to avenge their relatives and friends. In the end, someone will always defeat her. Then send the body back. As long as it has a head, it's fine if it's broken. I need the memory in it." It turns out that it is like this. The least cost is exchanged for the most ideal return. It is worthy of the venerable. Then you just wait until someone brings that woman's body back, and then you call me over. It will be for your benefit. Yes, walk slowly. Then Tang Yuan squatted in the cardboard box and watched as the door of the study was opened, and a guy in a black robe came out of it. It was so unreal in an instant, a behind-the-scenes shit cooker like you shouldn't have everything in his hands at any time. Is it a trick to teleport anywhere? You see, if you walk out like this, you will be seen by people. Of course, this guy didn't feel that there was anything wrong with the cardboard box next to him. Even though cardboard had never been researched in this world, and there was no such thing as a cardboard box, this guy just turned a blind eye and walked straight ahead without taking his eyes off it. Tang Yuan quietly followed a guy in black robe all the way out of Grover's mansion, and then this guy took advantage of the night. When was it already dark? Taking advantage of the darkness to go to those places where no one was there, and walked out of the city in a detour. After arriving in the wilderness, the man in black completely let go of his pace and began to run wildly like a ninja. To ordinary people, this guy is completely an afterimage. It seems that even if he wants to fight, this guy's fighting power is lower. This world is not a weak chicken, but even so, he still didn't realize that there was a cardboard box behind him at a speed not inferior to his, leaving behind an afterimage. Not long after, a disguised cave appeared in front of Tang Yuan. Sure enough, it's the routine of the shit cooker behind the scenes. They usually pass information to the downlines in the study, and then either disappear out of thin air in place, or like this kind of low, they leave the city grandiosely and rush to a remote place cave, and then began to explain the work to his fellow party members. Tang Yuan looked inside, and sure enough, there were several guys in black robes inside, and they were not good people if they looked at each other furtively. To be continued. Chapter 258 Obsidian Church. Do you really think that woman is a half-breed elf? PFFT, cough, cough cough. The function of that potion is to distort Assis's mind and make him produce a kind of offspring for those creatures whose bloodlines are far from human beings. Generally speaking, it is affected by the power of the race, the wave power of the Moss tribe, the natural adaptability of the elves, the roaring power of the Sander tribe, the charming voice of the Hulbia tribe. These are powers that humans cannot grasp, but tell me, why does Assis have such a strong desire for that woman, Lian, who is just an elven hybrid? It's all in our calculations. The Assis guy kept pestering that woman, and finally, the woman managed to kill Assis, and then we put a reward on her, deliberately giving a very low bounty. When more and more bounty hunters die at her hands, the guild will spontaneously increase her bounty until finally, enough bounty hunters kill her and bring back her head. That is us the purpose of this, and no one would have thought that these are all in our calculations. Ho ha ho ha. PFFT. You said it very well. Tang Yuan pulled out the door knife from the black-robed man. The half-meter wide blade just pierced his body and almost cut the man in two. Then I want to know the identity of Miss Lian. According to you, she shouldn't be a half-elf, right? HMPH. The black-robed man glanced around, all his former compatriots lying in a pool of blood and dying miserably. He took another look at the invulnerable monster in front of him, and said with a strange smile, actually, that the woman named Lian is indeed a hybrid of elves, but the other part of her blood is not human. As for what it is, you can think about it slowly. A small character like me, can still let me die until the last moment of my life. A big guy like you is very troubled, which is enough to make me proud. Ha 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 ha. Laughing, the man in black's laughter became weaker and weaker, and finally fell silent. Damn. Tang Yuan cast a glance at the corpses of men in black robes lying all around, and couldn't help cursing. These guys don't know what the origin is. Each of them has good fighting power for this world, and they are not afraid of death. Almost all of them hit the knife's edge, looking like a cult. He was so tight-lipped, he didn't tell Tang Yuan the truth until he died. It just made him feel that his head was getting bigger and bigger, and he couldn't figure it out more and more. But it's okay, you don't know who you've been dealing with all this time, right? Tang Yuan said to himself, walked up to the corpse of the guy who was still laughing loudly before he died, and stepped on it. Step on, it's up to you, a particularly arrogant guy. Then, a burst of white light appeared on his hand. This extremely dazzling but soft light shone on the corpse, and at the same time he muttered, "Resurrect, my warrior." When the white light dissipated, the corpse moved and suddenly opened its eyes. The man in black looked around first, then at the monster in the shabby black coat in front of him, as if he had realized what had happened. He pointed at him inexplicably in horror and asked, "What did you do?" Tang Yuan grinned, the corners of his mouth opened to reveal 16 teeth, and he smiled ferociously. "Ask. Did I agree with you to die just now? Do you want to die? I don't allow it. As long as I don't allow it, you are considered dead. I have to bring my soul back to me. So the black-robed man was not calm anymore. He began to slowly back away by rubbing his butt on the ground. Don't come over, I warn you. If you come over, I will call. Well, if I don't come here, just tell me about the background of that woman named Lian. According to you, she should be a very awesome character, so why hide in such a remote city? Lee Flower Shop. I can't tell you, otherwise my end will be worse than death. You should kill me. Tang Yuan scratched his hair, rolled his eyeballs, and nodded. That's fine, no problem. Crack. Resurrect, my champion. Crack. Exclamation mark. Resurrect, my champion. Crack. Exclamation mark. Resurrect, my champion. Crack. Exclamation mark. Resurrect, my champion. Dot. After going back and forth dozens of times, the black-robed man was obviously in a daze. He shivered and walked towards the corner, still muttering, Lord, Almighty Lord. Please grant me eternal love, the tranquility of Lord, Almighty Lord, wake me up from this nightmare. Lord, your humble servant is here to pray. Come on, it seems to be crazy. But Tang Yuan heard something was wrong from this guy's words. This guy was talking about Lord, not source of light or Father in heaven and so on. He was obviously not from the Church of Light. On the mainland, there is only one person who calls the God he believes in as Lord. Christ. Bah, you are from the Obsidian Church. Tang Yuan lifted the guy up and asked loudly, you are not busy hiding underground to serve your ancient gods. What are you doing here? Lay, what does N have to do with you? Tell me. However, this guy was already out of his mind, and he could only murmur tremblingly, Lord, death is new life. Please let me wash away the sins of this life. Boom. Accompanied by a mental explosion, this guy was blown into a pile of pieces. Tang Yuan clapped his hands with a dark face, turned around and took another look at the messy cave, poured away the door knife and paced out. After walking out of the cave, he turned around and blasted the cave down again. Obsidian Church. This is really getting more and more interesting. Adventure puzzle games should be as rich as possible. I support the original version. He muttered, lit a cigarette, and walked towards a mirror city. Why would the group of Obsidian Church believers in ancient evil gods want Lian's head? Tang Yuan thought about it a lot. First of all, not only the Church of Light called them a cult, but even the sharp-eyed aliens all agreed that they were a cult. The belief of light only enjoys the highest status among human beings. It seems that it is not the problem of the God of light, but the problem of this religion itself. Moreover, Tang Yuan also heard what they said with his own ears. He got Lian's head and the memories inside. What exactly is Lian's background? What memory does she have that are so important to the Obsidian Church? The point is, what is the Obsidian Church planning? Thousands of years ago, they opened the gates of hell, which led to a great war between the real world and hell, and directly abolished the elves and dwarves. What are these guys doing now? No matter what it is, just come, I want to experience the highest level of death. Tang Yuan looked at the emo city in the distance, and blew out a smoke ring. To be continued. Come on, I know you guys like this, Mution polygonum dependency. It's not that I was bored and suddenly turned up. By the way, I'm going to start a new book, and the two books will be updated alternately, and the perfect attendance award is going to die. Chapter 259, Your Mother. In this way, Tang Yuan decided to uncover the mystery behind all this, why the people of the Obsidian Church wanted to explore Lian's memory, what they planned to do next, and what did Lian do before all this happened. So he's back in a mere city, and maybe Isaiah Groover, who's in his 50s and can't tell if he's middle-aged or old, knows something. Thus, Tang Yuan sneaked into the Grover mansion again with a ridiculous-looking cardboard box on his back. Still in the study, this time he came to the window of the study without disturbing any of the guards, listening to the movement inside. Isaiah didn't meet anyone, and was sitting in the study at the moment flipping through a book. After listening to it for a long time, Tang Yuan could only hear the sound of pages being turned. It took a few minutes to turn a page. It seemed that the old guy either likes to carefully taste every word carefully, or he is presbyopic, or he is directly dyslexic. After confirming that there was no one around the study, Tang Yuan put away the cardboard box and kicked open the study door. Isaiah heard the sound of the door being kicked open, immediately threw the book away, stood up and put his hands on his waist, and was about to draw his sword, It seems that the bad things this old guy has done are really true. Quite a few of them even carried weapons when they were reading in the study. However, he reacted very quickly, and Tang Yuan moved even faster. In the blink of an eye, Tang Yuan closed the study door again and appeared behind Iznia, with one hand around his neck and the other hand holding a dagger. On his carotid, "Be quiet, or tomorrow your property will go to the state because you have no heir." Who are you? Iznia felt as if his neck had been cut, so he didn't dare to act rashly, and asked in a deep voice, "There is no one I know who would do such a stupid thing. If you are still in your right mind, let me go now and apologize." Oh. Tang Yuan said that he had never seen such a domineering captive in his life. Really, even the smugglers he met when he was on guard at the border were not so domineering, so he took the dagger. He touched one of this guy's ears and said, "Don't cry out, although I may be wanted afterwards, you will be cold by then." After finishing speaking, he cut off half of Iznia's ear bit by bit with a dagger like a stake. Didn't make a sound. "Okay, you still have 1.5 ears left, I can cut it 3 more times. Do you know how to talk to me now?" Tang Yuan looked at the old guy. Half of his neck was stained red with blood, and his body was also unconsciously trembling. He let out a cold laugh on purpose. "It's okay, I can still cut my nose if my ears are gone, so you don't have to bother to dig in with fat fingers to dig your nose. If you lose your nose, I will use the tip of a knife to carve patterns on your face. In short, I will not kill you until I get what I want to know. But if you don't cooperate, there is nothing I can do. So say, what are you thinking about now? Do you know what to tell me? You will regret it. As long as you are still on this continent, you have to be on guard against someone's assassination every moment, not just you, but also your family and friends. Iznia is still stubborn. Now if you apologize to me and then slit your own throat in front of me, I will forgive the people you know. It's awesome. It's really high in the mountains and the emperor is far away. Have you been an emperor for decades and you have forgotten what you are?" Tang Yuan felt that this old guy was a little too crazy, so he decided to use the last chapter to describe himself as an emperor. Just came up with a gameplay. Come on, feel it carefully. So he twisted the dagger twice around his hand, and then cut Iznia's neck sharply. Cough. Oh. Blood gushed out like a fountain, and the old guy softened after making a strange sound. Tang Yuan wiped the dagger on the corpse, and then a white light flashed on his hand. "Resurrect, my warrior." Tang Yuan left Grover's mansion contentedly. Sure enough, this old guy has been pampered for decades and has been completely useless. It's just that after experiencing one death, he seems to see everything, knowing everything without saying anything. But Tang Yuan suspects that guy just thinks he's a demon, that's all. Everyone knows that demons have many ways to make life worse than death. A hybrid of an elf and some kind of ancient creature. Tang Yuan thought about Iznia's confession. Doesn't he know Li Yin's origin? What kind of ancient creature is it? Do I have to ask the elf? Nonsense. Well, people will not answer such questions casually. Just when he was still hesitating whether to go to the Green Agate Principality to the east to find the elves to check the historical data, suddenly the watch rang. "Why do you feel that this thing is more and more fully functional now, can be used as a mobile phone? Hey." He pressed on the watch. "What?" "Ahem. Then what? Guess who I am." There was no transmission image on the opposite side, and there was only a big sound-only icon on the watch screen. There is a reward for guessing right. Don't guess, get lost. Tang Yuan said before hanging up the unknown call. Wait a minute. Why are you doing this? Don't hang up, I said, okay. Go ahead. It's me, can't you hear me? Tang Yuan frowned. I think I'd better hang up. After saying that, he stretched out his hand to press the end call button on the watch. It's me. Tang Yuan. Your own mother. So the other side was not calm. Oh, what are you doing? So Tang Yuan calmed down, ran into the crack, lit a cigarette, and sat down on the sofa carelessly. The screen of the watch turned into a huge holographic projection screen floating in front of him, although it was still the same sound-only icon. Why do you old man have nothing to do to call me? I'm hiding in your mind now. From your subjective point of view, I'm calling you. In fact, I'm just sending you a message through some means. Don't you obediently hide in that illusion. What are you doing running out? Old God. Tang Yuan blew a smoke ring on the ground. Is your butt numb? You can just lie on your stomach. You bastard. Well, I mean, have you heard from that me outside since you went out? If you can see Tang Yuan's expression now, It is probably distorted. Any news okay? I'm a little worried about the secondary void outside. Oh. Yes, there is. Not long ago, Malka and I, speaking of, do you know Malka? It's that fat-looking civet cat. Yes, what did she say? I told you about your current situation, so that guy, she? Is it a female cat? Cough, so she sighed. I'm too weak to pass through the chaos. You can probably get it from this sentence. It seems that the situation of the you outside in the words is not very optimistic. Yes, have you contacted I outside? Tang Yuan asked. No, I haven't seen you once from the beginning to the end. The first time I saw you was still in the illusion. According to the wills, the you outside has lost contact a long time ago, and I don't know if you are dead or not. Death is not dead. If I dies, the whole void will suffer together. But it seems that the situation is really not optimistic. What about Malka? Tang Yuan said that the situation is not optimistic, but listen to her, the tone was still quite relaxed. Can you ask Malka to talk to me? I have something to talk to her about. No, she went to other voids to broadcast her news, saying that it is time to form a tour group, and everyone will go to your place to see the situation. All right. To be continued. I thought about it. I'd better stop updating. The perfect attendance bonus is 600 yuan. I'm a little bit reluctant. One more chapter to come. Chapter 260. Continue to push the main line. In the final analysis, even if it is only a part of consciousness, even if it is only hiding in Tang Yuan's mind, the will of the void is the will of the void, and the power of this guy should not be underestimated. Why did Tang Yuan make such an exclamation? Because Tang Yuan is sitting next to him right now, holding a boxed meal in her hand and munching. Mother, how long has it been since you had a meal? Well, there's water here, eat slowly, don't choke. Tang Yuan felt that the atmosphere was a bit awkward, so he reached out and patted Tang Yuan's shoulder. Why did you run out suddenly? Is it okay to stay in my head? It's not fun at all. This guy Tang Yuan can speak so clearly while eating. It seems that he has practiced. Staying in a crappy house is boring to death. But according to what you said, it's not very peaceful in the secondary void right now. If you just run out like this, you won't be afraid of being known by you outside. Tang Yuan asked. It's okay, aren't we in another void now, that I won't know about it? Tang Yuan held the empty lunchbox and licked it, staring at Tang Yuan with bright eyes. Is there any? Eldest sister. Mother, you've already eaten 20 boxes of lunch. 20. My meal can only be 2 at most. Are you fleeing famine? Tang Yuan rolled his eyes. If you eat again, I'm afraid you'll spit it out. Bear it, wait until the next meal. I'll treat you to a good meal. Oh, that's fine. Tang Yuan nodded, then picked up the large water bottle, 2.5 L, in front of her, bubbling for a while, then threw the empty bottle aside, as if suddenly losing her dream, lying on the sofa without moving. It's better to go outside. I don't want to go back again. So, why did you come out all of a sudden? Didn't you have a good talk with me in the last chapter? Tang Yuan's eyes twitched, and he saw that this guy didn't see a bulge at all. The 4-dimensional stomach also, that's about it. It's so scary. You haven't told me what happened to that you out there. Someone has already said it in the book review section, and it's pretty much the same. Tang Yuan bit her finger. Okay, let me be serious. In fact, we have to start with the birth of void. Well, the birth of the void. Hey, how many void wells do you have? Don't tell me that there is a chaotic will on top of your void wells. If you want to tell me, I will definitely go to the author to settle the score. It's gone. There is no such thing as chaotic will, and the highest one is just our group of void wells. Tang Yuan waved her hand. At the earliest time, our group of void wells was born, which led to a trace of order in chaos. Before that, chaos represented absolute chaos. Oh. Don't interrupt. Listen to me carefully. Roughly speaking, at the earliest time, the birth of the will of the void brought order to the chaotic chaos, and then the will of the void created their own void one by one, which is the earliest world. The order side of chaos been continuously amplified. Then, a bunch of world wills were created one after another in the void, and the world wills created the world. From this point of view, it seems that the entire chaos is a thriving scene. But the good times didn't last long, and it didn't take long for problems to arise. At first, a certain void will found that many worlds collapsed on their own in the void. After trying to repair it but failed, that void will contacted his compatriots, and a group of void wills began to explore the cause of this problem. Before they figured out why, one after another, Void Will discovered that a similar situation had occurred in their own void. In the end, before their respective voids became riddled with holes, before the problem was only at the world level and had not had time to affect the void level, the will of the void finally discovered the problem. The abyss. Bah, it's a play, I mean. Chaos, that's what we called that thing at the beginning, yes, because we think that the appearance of that thing is inseparable from the chaos we are in, so I just put this name on it. In fact, that thing does not have a specific concept. It can be darkness, it can also be withering, or even destruction, and, in short, it is a thing that was born at the same time as our void will things, but it was not discovered by us until a long time later. If our void will represents order, then chaos represents disorder, complete chaos. Even the concept of chaos will be distorted into chaos, an existence that is even more chaotic than chaotic. Then what? Let me ask a question. Tang Yuan raised his hand. If that's the case, then why did chaos disappear now? It seems that you have already figured out a way to solve the problem, right? That's right, that's what I'm going to say next. At that time, I was the first void will to be born, and also the most powerful void will, so I decided to sacrifice myself, absorb all chaos by myself, and transform myself into a completely disordered existence, in order to restore other voids to normal. Tang Yuan recalled, things developed smoothly. I successfully absorbed all chaos, and successfully solved the problem, but what surprised me was, after absorbing all the chaos, according to my estimation, I should react with chaos, and the two will be neutralized, but in fact, I failed. The order side is bigger, the disorder side the bigger it is, so the amount of chaos should be just enough for all the void wills combined. If you want to rely on neutralization to eliminate chaos, you must sacrifice all the void wills together, but this is the case. There is no meaning anymore. At this moment, before I completely disappeared, I thought of a way, that is to guide chaos out, and all our void will combine forces to divide chaos into two parts. One part is where our emptiness exists, another part is dedicated to storing those chaos. Although this cannot cure the symptoms, it can at least cure the root cause, and chaos is infinite, or there is no concept of size, so we can live in peace. Live till now. Oh, then you haven't told me what happened to you yet. Tang Yuan glanced at her as he spoke. What's the matter? Can't you tell? Still doing it for me. Tang Yuan blinked, hesitated, and said, it's okay, as long as you don't return to my void before the problem is solved, it's okay to tell you now. It's just a low-level mistake. Chaos, and then the person who exiled it is me. And before that, I had contacted because I wanted to sacrifice myself to neutralize chaos. So I was, scientifically speaking, I was infected, the whole person was in a state of constant collapse and constant repair, and then I still persisted and created the first batch of wills in my own void, although I was already very slow at that time, and the wills of others I have been upgraded to several generations and I am only the first batch, but there is no way, the objective factors are there, I understand, you don't need to talk about it. Tang Yuan waved his hand, you still couldn't hold back in the end, so you changed your style of painting and became a disordered existence, destroying all the will of the first generation in an instant. Just looked up to the sky and yelled who else, right? Listening to this description, Tang Yuan always felt that she wanted to focus on this guy's head, but she held back, almost. After that, I temporarily suppressed the chaos on my body, and then I had no choice but to. I needed the concepts left over from the first generation of wills after they died, and fused part of my own power into them to create you. At that time, I found that the memories of the first generation of wills had not disappeared, so I sealed those memories. They exist together to form an illusion, and then part of the consciousness is split into the illusion, and I hope that one day you can find that part of my consciousness and learn the truth, so that you may be able to forgive me. She looked at Tang Yuan with an inexplicable expression on her face, and the partially split consciousness is this I now, although I don't know what the I outside did after that, but I can also guess a general idea. She continued to fight against the disordered part of her body, but was slowly eroded, and finally locked herself into a place where no one could completely lose control and destroy the entire void. The place where I can't find it, probably like this. After all, I know myself better. Tang Yuan sorted out what she said, and finally understood what was going on, and he was embarrassed to express his opinion on this, so he could only continue to listen to her with a bewildered expression. At this moment, Tang Yuan leaned in front of him, held his face and asked, "Can you forgive me? Are you willing to represent all the will of the first generation and forgive me for what I did? I made a mother who should never. Are you willing to understand what I did?" What? Tang Yuan looked around in embarrassment. "Since you have said that it wasn't your fault, then what else can I forgive?" So Tang Yuan froze. You really don't plan to forgive me?" Her whole body turned gray instantly, and she felt as if she had lost hope in life when she looked at it. "That's right, I still have to find excuses if I make a mistake. The guy here is really the worst. Don't tell me." Tang Yuan waved his hands frantically. "You look like I'm sorry for you. Please, please, I forgive you, seriously." To be continued. Chapter 261 Fishing. As the saying goes, you must not judge the age of some people based on their appearance and behavior. Many people are directly blinded when they know someone's age. For example, Kikuko Inu, who was born in 1964 and is now 53 years old. If you are interested, you can look at her photos from different eras. It feels like she just changed clothes. For example, Araki Hirohiko, who was born in 1960 and is now 57 years old, is even worse than Antonu. When he stays with a group of new generation painters, he does not look the oldest one. No. Araki old demon, the ultimate creature Araki. Another example is Yakumo Zetvijkijink. Then there is Tang Yuan, who is sitting on the sofa holding a NS modified by Lin Xiaoyu and playing the standalone version of DNF. It looks like a big sister who has been abolished. Who can believe that this guy will be the first batch of creatures born in chaos? Who can believe that this guy created a void as the origin of all things? What's the matter with the standalone version? It's fine if there are no breast knights and spearmen, but why don't there even be female ghosts? Tang Yuan hugged the game console and began to scream, kicking her legs wildly. "Not even a second, I don't think so, dear mother. This is a server that came out after the collapse of the Taiwan server. In the end, it was only updated to version 70. Now you can upgrade to level 85, and you can also go to the gate of time and space. I only made it through the patch. Just like this. Do you still want to sleep again? Want a new role? I still want to play a female ghost, but that girl's Xiaoyu refuses to help me make it up. It's too troublesome." Tang Yuan watched his mother roll and squirm all over the floor, shaking her head helplessly. "If you want me to say it, she simply hacked into Tyson's company and copied the latest version of the server. This is illegal." Tang Yuan said quietly, "I don't remember teaching children to do such illegal things." Tang Yuan originally wanted to pat this guy's head, but when he thought about it carefully, it was a bit unreasonable to touch the guy's head because of his seniority, so he withdrew his hand again. "I played gunfights with smugglers at the border. You didn't tell the group of people that they were not allowed to break the law, and the old squad leader still hasn't been able to raise his left hand over his shoulder." Tang Yuan choked at his words, fell silent for 3 seconds, then jumped up again, pulled Tang Yuan and started bouncing for a while. "Alright, I won't play games anymore. The next time we go to Malka, let's take a look in the super void. I haven't seen her group of cats for a long time." As she spoke, she tore open a rift. At this moment, she and Tang Yuan were still in the independent space of the rift. So when Tang Yuan saw her playing like this, he couldn't calm down immediately. "Hey, this is obviously my place. How can you just tear it up? What about the agreed basic law? My old lady is the basic law." Tang Yuan burst out such a sentence domineeringly, and then dragged Tang Yuan out of the independent space. When he came outside, Tang Yuan looked around, and suddenly became restless. The promised alien world. Why did you come directly to Marcus' secondary void? As soon as the large group of cats around saw the two of them appearing, they all meowed and came over, so Tang Yuan maintained the restless expression on his face and was overwhelmed by the sea of cats. Tang Yuan said with a smile, "Any cat here belongs to the level of old monsters. At your age, when you see this group of cats, you should call the old man, huh? What's your expression?" Tang Yuan's heart was almost broken at this time. He just felt that the dog's management didn't seem to be playing cards according to common sense. A few seconds ago, he was sitting happily holding a game console, but at this moment he suddenly wanted to pet the cat, so he brought seeing him go straight through the world. That's too much. Can't he be quiet like a lady? Mother, can we go and do something serious? He pondered in his heart, rather than letting this guy lead him around, it would be better to let her take him to see the world in other voids. After being so fussy, I made a suggestion. Look, Malka is very interesting. As soon as he heard that you were dying, he immediately went out and went to other voids to help you pull people. He is so dedicated to helping you. Helping you? It's ridiculous for you to come and go in the void like this. So what? Let's go to other voids to do business? Get rid of the chaos as soon as possible and celebrate the new year with the family members. Tang Yuan bit her finger and thought about it, then blinked her eyes. That's the thing. I have been in prison for 1 year, and I seem to be a little confused about what to do. I want to fish. Why do I need someone? Yes, why not leave it to Malka? Come on, are you really ashamed? Malka is an upright cat who doesn't think about fishing all day long. How come you are still proud of fishing when you come here? You don't want to go, do you? If you don't go, I will. Tang Yuan pinched a ball pendant hanging around his neck, ready to teleport. When Tang Yuan said that, she felt that she was really not a thing, and her sense of guilt was infinitely magnified. A scene of a pitiful raccoon cat standing on the street handing out leaflets appeared in her mind, so her face was also ugly. Come down. Okay, I've convinced you, let's go. That's right, let me tell you, it's not okay to touch fish. A lot of strong men are addicted to fishing, and in the end they just exploded. You can refer to Qin Zhuan, who has exploded from his godhead. I don't understand what you're talking about. Tang Yuan reached out and pulled out a door from the ground, opened it and kicked Tang Yuan. Come in, let's take a shortcut. What is this? Tang Yuan saw that the opposite side of the door was as black as a paste, and took a step back. It looks a little tricky. What do you mean by taking a shortcut? Tang Yuan gave him a blank look. Do you still want to continue swimming in the chaos? Since we are the will of the void, we naturally have a way to travel between the void alone. I didn't dare to go out in person before because I had to leave first. The illusion in your mind, but at that time you were still in the void created by I outside. If I came out, I would definitely be discovered, so I had to fool you to leave the void of I and run outside. Co-authoring this business trip with me was planned by you. Tang Yuan refused to accept it, just to get rid of the side of the dog manager outside. Yes, that's right. What? Tang Yuan nodded first, and then felt something was wrong. What did you just say outside? Dog management, you don't know what the wills call you, do you? Tang Yuan pointed his fingers and said clearly, since you said that you know yourself best, then think about it, the one outside. What will happen to you after you are corrupted by chaos? The first generation of will is not the only group of victims. After that, although the dog management created several generations of will while its mind was still awake, but when her brain was wet, when you die, you will still be the same as you at the beginning, and you will kill whoever you don't like when you get crazy. Damn, so we have to hurry up. If this goes on, I'm afraid that I will not be able to control myself, and will run out again. At that time, it will not kill 1 or 2 wills, maybe the entire void will be destroyed. We will suffer together. Tang Yuan dragged Tang Yuan into the door as she spoke. Come on, don't be afraid, this is very safe, maybe you will feel a little dizzy. No, I said, where's the other side? Other voids, you just treat this thing as any door. It's okay, I'm with you, don't be cowardly. To be continued. Chapter 262. The relationship is so good. After finally listening to the head of state inside lose his temper, Tang Yuan reckoned that the guy must have calmed down, so she led her own son to the door and knocked on the door. Come in. A very impatient voice came from inside. Tang Yuan kicked the door open, and put her hands on her hips. Hey, it's been a long time since you've got a lot of temper, can you show me the tone just now? Inside was a huge oval-shaped table. At one end of the round table sat a muscular man wearing heavy ornate armor, combing back his hair, and a goatee. Tang Yuan took a look at the guy and immediately feeling as if I was being locked by countless missiles, my back felt cold, and I stood at attention unconsciously. At this time, the strong man also noticed Tang Yuan's existence, and squinted his eyes to look him up and down. Just when Tang Yuan thought this guy was a gay guy, he looked away and nodded. Well, not bad young man, if you put me here, he probably has the qualifications to be a major general. Thank you so much. A row of black lines appeared on Tang Yuan's forehead. At this time, Tang Yuan walked up to Gain in a few steps, raised her left hand as if to wave hello, and then, doing a brain was knocked on the top of this guy's head, and Tang Yuan felt his head hurt when he heard the loud noise. This is the true meaning of it hurts to hear it. Exclamation mark. Give me a truce now, I need the help of you bastards. Tang Yuan hugged her arms angrily, and said to Gain, saving the world is more fun than playing house, isn't it? It's time for you to pay me back its back. God, this is so exciting. The strong man named Gain over there is touching his head with one hand, and putting the other on the table. The expression on his face begins to darken at a speed visible to the naked eye. This girl seems to be turning her face. So when the expression on the strong man's face was extremely dark, Tang Yuan immediately clenched his fists and prepared to fight. At this moment, Tang Yuan raised her hand again, and Zhuang hid her head again. On Gain's celestial cap. Why? Dissatisfied? Do you want to remind you of the fear of being dominated by my old lady? Immediately afterwards, Tang Yuan knew what real face changing was. Compared with this guy named Guyan, the Sichuan opera in his hometown was simply weak. You see, such a muscular burly man with a body so thick that it even grew to his face, was beaten twice in the head. So, then the black face that was originally full of murderous looks burst into tears in an instant, and put on a trembling and with an orgasm-like expression. The whole person flew up from the table as soon as his legs were exerted, and he did a backflip in succession, followed by 2 Thomas rolling, and the last one knelt down on the ground in a 5-body throw. Big sister, I was wrong. Well, good boy. Tang Yuan knelt down and reached out to touch this guy's head. What is this all about? Question mark. Tang Yuan only felt that his view of the world had been hit. Gain, right, is that your name? Are you really worthy of your muscles like this? Question mark. You are the head of an empire. Why do you show a cute expression like a small animal just after being knocked in the head twice? Question mark. Stand up and resist. Outside the door are all your little brothers. The Tang Yuan in front of you is just a weakened version. At this moment, Tang Yuan seemed to sense something, and gave Tang Yuan a hard look, then turned her head to look at Guyan, who was kneeling on the ground, and raised one foot to step on the guy's back and rub it back and forth, shaking. Ms., don't be so busy. It feels good, because Tang Yuan could hear the armor on Gain's body being rubbed by Tang Yuan to make a creak and creak sound from a distance. How powerful is this? I'm afraid I don't want to trample people to death. Unexpectedly, this guy named Gain's defense power is quite high, lying on the ground motionless, just muttering in his mouth, left point, oh, it's over, right, well, here it is. Call. If he could not still hear this guy talking, Tang Yuan would have thought he was dead. After a long time, Tang Yuan raised her leg high, raised her foot above her head, and landed on her heel fiercely, with a bang bang, as if a mountain was shaking for a while. This time it really hurt to hear it. Tang Yuan quickly found a seat at the table and sat down on his stomach, not daring to move. After a while, Gain sat back on the main seat as if nothing had happened, and coughed dryly. Hey, long time no see, big sister, everyone has missed you a lot these days. If you don't look at the armor that has been transformed into a pile of broken copper and iron on this guy, you can't guess what he has experienced before. Tang Yuan sat directly on the edge of the table in a domineering manner, with her legs dangling, and the toe of her right boot was still stained with blood. I'm relieved to see that you are still so polite. It's the big sister who taught me well. I should thank the big sister. Gain kept shaking his head up and down. Speaking of which, big sister, what's the matter with you looking for me this time? Just say, no matter what, I'll be alone. Word, up, 2 words, no counsel, 3 words, who do you want to chop off? Cut me. 2 words popped out of Tang Yuan's mouth. Okay, what's the question, huh? Gain was confused. What are you talking about, big sister? Tang Yuan finally couldn't stand it anymore, patted the table and stood up. According to the speaking format of the 2 of you, the author might not be able to make up the remaining 23 words so that he can write a new book sooner. Shut up and let me explain. Gain squinted his eyes and glanced at him, then asked Tang Yuan, speaking of which, big sister, who is this guy? I feel like a fucking idiot. Tang Yuan nodded expressionlessly and said, my son, I am his mother. What did you just say? Elder sister, please lighten your head. Okay. Seeing that the 2 of them were about to make another school violence documentary with full special effects, Tang Yuan quickly slapped his hands on the table. I'm just in a daze. Mother, aren't you here to deal with business? What? It's as if you have athlete's foot, and you have to find a piece of sandpaper to rub it? And you, hiss. Well, uncle, why don't you go back and change your clothes first? Look at you are deformed. Aren't you afraid of squeezing your organs? Be careful of internal injuries. I'm fine, just tell me, What do you want to say? Gain waved his hand and smiled, showing his 8 teeth. That's okay, I'll make a long story short. Tang Yuan pointed to his own mother and said to Gain, my mother has flown away. This is the trumpet left by my mother before flying away. Now we have to get together, people. Then we found my mother, who had gone somewhere above. Tang Yuan applauded again and again. Your summary is very profound, concise and connotative, easy to understand. Oh, that's fine, I'm fine. Gain nodded and said, is there anything else I can help with? Marco has already gone out to gather people, and you go too, and then everyone will gather outside my void. Tang Yuan looked like a commander-in-chief at the moment, and waved her small hand, so let's go now. Let me go. Also, change my clothes before leaving. Look at the outfit you are wearing. If you know it, it's okay. If you don't know it, you might think that you came out to beg for food and fell into a ditch on the way. Okay, big sister. No problem, big sister. To be continued. Chapter 263, Lazy. Immediately afterwards, Tang Yuan knew what efficiency meant. He saw Gain standing up from the ground in an instant, rushing out of the conference room, and running back 5 seconds later. At this time, the tattered armor on his body had been replaced with another brand new set, polished and waxed, looks like real South African diamonds, reflective enough to blind a dog's eyes. Big sister, I'm ready, shall I go now? Gain asked next to Tang Yuan. If you don't leave, I still want to beat you, you figure it out. Okay, big sister, hit me again, cough, forget it, I'll leave right away, see you, big sister. After speaking, Gain disappeared in a flash. Tang Yuan glanced at his own mother and asked, is this the end? And Tang Yuan nodded, let's continue, this time we must completely solve the problem of chaos, otherwise there will be accidents every now and then. It seems that the destruction of the first generation of Will left a big shadow in her heart. Come on, that guy Gain forgot to open the door, and ran straight into the chaos to swim. Let's leave that idiot alone, come on, take a shortcut. Tang Yuan pulled out a door from the ground again and pointed towards herself. The sun beckoned, finish it early, the lunchbox you gave me earlier tastes good, I want to try it again. Get lunch, forget it, it's unlucky to say this. Tang Yuan shook his head lightly, followed her into the store again. Since the chaos is infinite, how many void wills are born in it? Tang Yuan asked his own mother, and her answer was, I'm too lazy to count, anyway, we all know each other, and if we insist, we are the first batch of void will born, and also the last batch. If you are too lazy to count, it seems that the number of void wills is still quite a lot. How many voids exist in the chaos is probably not an easy question to answer. The two walked out of any door and came to another void. Tang Yuan is too lazy to care about where he is now. Anyway, it will be no problem to follow his own mother. This person is so lazy to such an extent. Throwing him outside. I don't think there will be such a thing, right? Tang Yuan had absolutely no reason to do so. Still the same as before, the sky is pitch black, with a bunch of light balls floating for lighting, but the scene on the ground is different, like Tang Yuan's secondary void, where all kinds of houses are piled up in a mess. There are endless cats on Marcus' side. Gain's side is directly a huge military camp, and it is divided into several forces to fight each other. Tang Yuan said that he has experienced many battles and has seen many times. No matter how weird things you see now, you won't show any expression. However, after seeing the scene in front of him, he felt, after all, I am too young. This void is quite special. The entire void is a world, and there is no will of the world. If you insist, the guy made his void like this for the convenience of management, but I feel that this is just a simple laziness. Tang Yuan was still explaining, as for what you think, it's up to the benevolent to see the benevolent and the wise to see the wisdom. Tang Yuan looked at this endless flat ground, with mountains and water, flowers and grass. It seemed quite normal, but if you fly to the sky to see it, you will find that although this world looks normal, some places there are height gaps, but overall it is an absolutely flat world. That is to say, the guy you're talking about is completely treating his own void as a world, right? He looked at this so-called secondary void. In fact, there is nothing in this void at all. Secondary void, here's a void. That's right, you're lazy, aren't you? The lazier ones are behind, follow me. Tang Yuan said, leading her own son to land on the ground, and reached out to take out a large convertible from her arms. Wait, how did the thing come out of the arms? Question mark. Get in the car, you drive. She sat in the passenger seat, leaned her head on the back of the seat, closed her eyes and didn't want to move. Okay, you have the final say, I will drive as long as I drive. Hey, fasten your seat belt, don't let me brake suddenly and knock you out. Tang Yuan sat in the driver's seat with a face of reluctance on. I rely on you to still have an automatic transmission. Mother, I'm not used to driving, can I change to a manual transmission? If you keep beeping, I'll let you carry me behind your back. Tang Yuan said angrily. Tang Yuan let out a heck at the time, dragged his own mother out of the car, and then reached out his hand to take out a pickup from the butt pocket of his trousers. It was a manual transmission, and his own car was of course in his own hands. Come on, fuck your automatic transmission. The last time I drove the automatic transmission car at home, I habitually prepared to speed up and shift up when I got out of the garage. As a result, I got used to driving the manual transmission. I started in first gear, and the accelerator finally shifted to second gear, so I kicked the accelerator. Going down, the car went out with a loud bang and hit the side of the road, just out of the garage. I almost made the news. Oh. Tang Yuan didn't dare to let this guy drive her own car. After hearing this, she quickly put her car away and sat on the passenger seat of the pickup truck. But don't you think the pickup truck looks very ugly? Is it ugly? Tang Yuan glared at her. Pickup truck. A man's romance. Do you understand? Do you want me to drive a pink cherry QQ? Then I'd rather ride three wheels. Well, we have a conflict of opinion on the car. I really think cherry QQ is cute. Tang Yuan murmured. Just like that, the two of them yelled and drove to the main road next to them, and drove along the road for a long time to a city. Okay, here we go. Stop and put the car away. Tang Yuan waited for the car to stop, opened the door and walked out. If that guy hasn't moved over the years, he should still live here, and I reckon with that guy's temperament, he's probably too lazy to move. That's right, sometimes he's too lazy to eat when his cancer breaks out. I'll just wait for the day when I'm capable and don't even bother to sleep, so I just give up thinking, the ultimate creature in the sky is watching you. Tang Yuan also got out of the car, put the car back in his butt pocket, ran up to catch up with his own mother in 2 or 3 steps. Where is this? Who are you taking it to? As I told you before, that fat man is actually not very fat, at most 150 kgs. I guess it is also the effect of lazy cancer. I am too lazy to continue to gain weight. That's it. Tang Yuan took him on the street turning east and west, looking for the residence of the fat man in his memory. At this moment, Tang Yuan was already a little restless. He noticed that there seemed to be some problems around him. There are more than just problems, it's a big problem, okay? Question mark, why is there no one on the street? Question mark, but the store over there is clearly open, and there is a sign next to it saying clearance deal. Half price sale. Hey, it's haunted, right? Question mark. Tang Yuan also noticed his expression and knew what he was thinking now, so she said, this is what I meant by the lazier ones are behind. This guy is really too lazy to create species, so there is no moving creature in the void, and he still said, it's a good thing there is a city, otherwise it would be shameful to live alone in the wilderness. In fact, I think he is the only one living in such a big city inside, it's even more humiliating. Tang Yuan nodded expressionlessly in agreement. This is really a new level of laziness. Huh? No, if that guy is really so lazy, why did he build such a big city? Shouldn't he be lazy? He slapped his head and thought of such a question, and asked. It makes sense. In fact, this city was built reluctantly when he lost a bet with us. Bet? Bet on what? We bet that he will never be able to run 2,000 meters, after all, he is a fat man. Then the guy thought about it, didn't bother to run, and gave up directly. As a bet, he agreed to a request, which is to create a void, and at the same time create a city in the void. Really lazy. But this guy made a mistake. When we talk about creating a city, we mean creating a living settlement. As a result, this guy just created a ghost town. There is no one, even I feel I'm panicking, and I don't know how this guy dares to live here. Tang Yuan looked around as she spoke. The traffic lights not far away were still working. At this moment, the red light was turned off and the green light was turned on. A stick figure on it made a walking posture. Come on, let me show you, the laziest creature in the chaos. To be continued. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264 Fatty High Defense. Laziness. This thing can be regarded as one of the root of all evils. Don't you see that the Catholic Church still classifies this thing as one of the 7 original sins of mankind? It can be seen that human beings have been fighting against lazy cancer since ancient times. It can be said that the great development of human beings so far is basically due to laziness. I was too lazy to walk, so I invented the car. I was too lazy to send messages all the way, so I invented the letter. I was too lazy to bother the postman every time, so I invented the telegraph. I was too lazy to press on the telegraph for a long time, so I invented the telephone. I was too lazy to run home every time calling, so the mobile phone was invented. Too lazy to run to the electric socket to charge the mobile phone, so wireless charging was invented. Maybe I won't bother to pick up the courier in the future, and just research the teleportation technology. That's really welcome. The above this is just a small part of the human development route, such as other computers, excavators, TV remote controls, automatic doors, fast food, takeaway, all because of laziness. In today's society, to put it bluntly, the only thing is that people who are not lazy charge money to serve lazy people. And if lazy people don't have money, then they just don't bother to live and count the ball. Tang Yuan has always felt that he has become a little lazy since he was discharged from the army. He often slumps on the sofa at home all day long, and can spend the day with a mobile phone in his arms. Or simply order a takeaway online. The delivery guy often leaves it at the door, and it takes a long time before he sits up from the sofa reluctantly cursing. At that time, the food outside the door is usually already cold. Thanks to this guy's good health, he didn't have a stomach ache after eating cold food. Thinking about it now, it seems like it was just yesterday. Tang Yuan really wanted to live the life he used to, but now he has reasons not to be lazy. There are many reasons. But this does not prevent him from saying the following sentence: fuck, this is really lazy, I don't even bother to say it. I was too lazy to take a bath, so I just put on a pair of boxers and soaked in the water, and the faucet next to it was kept running to change the water in the pool. Local Terrence, if you calculate the water bill for this month, I am afraid that it will directly annoy the students who are short of water in Africa out of water. I was too lazy to eat, so this guy directly evolved photosynthesis by soaking in the water, and he could survive in the sun. Tang Yuan always felt that this setting seemed to have been heard somewhere not long ago. Oh, yes, tree elf. In fact, if you have empty wool, you won't die even if you don't eat, right? After solving the problem of eating, what else can make people unable to live? To put it bluntly, people live to eat, and the other way around, to eat is to live. So this thing, so this guy has no desires after solving the problem of eating. When Tang Yuan brought her own son over, she saw this guy floating in the swimming pool motionless. Looking at the bloated body, those who didn't know it thought that someone had been drowned in the pool for a long time, and the body was directly soaked in water. Is this the guy? Tang Yuan asked, looking at the dead fat man floating in the pool. That's right, that's the guy. I used to be too lazy to manage my own void and travel in other people's voids, but I don't know when I started getting lazy. I don't even bother to travel. Now I just know how to stay in the void. In my own emptiness, I can comprehend the highest state of laziness. Tang Yuan said and walked over. Hey, Qin Shao. Did you hear that? Qin Shao. She yelled into the pool by the pool. The fat man didn't respond when he floated on the water. So Tang Yuan took a look and said to his own mother, Mom, I'm afraid this guy is not a dead ball, right? No, if he died, the void would be finished. Tang Yuan shook her head. I should have heard me call him, but I'm too lazy to answer. Damn it. Tang Yuan's forehead dripped a stream of clear water, probably in cold sweat. How lazy is this? Are you sleeping? Impossible. My mother shook her head seriously. It's impossible to sleep. Because he is too lazy to sleep. That's being in a daze. It's impossible. This guy is too lazy to post in a daze. Then what is he doing? Tang Yuan lost his composure. Just give up thinking. The mother nodded and looked at her son with relief. Yes, if you have to say it, the thing floating in the pond is actually a corpse that is not dead. Because that guy is too lazy to think, he has been waiting for a long time. I've given up thinking about it before. Tang Yuan's face collapsed. Oh my god. Then what are we going to do here? It's very simple. As she said that, Tang Yuan turned around in a circle, and with a special effect like a magical girl transforming, the tight windbreaker on her body instantly turned into a swimsuit. Strictly speaking, it was dead water, that is, those from those schools. The kind in the swimming class is relatively conservative but inexplicably sensational. Those who feel inexplicably have watched too many things they shouldn't. Come on. This is my mother's starburst hidden super kill, the hail of heaven and earth. So Tang Yuan watched his own mother spiral up into the sky. Flying to the sky, it was almost seen as a small black spot, and then speeded up and descended in an instant. How fast was that speed? Probably faster than the speed of light, because Tang Yuan could see clearly that when his own mother fell from the sky, there were streaks of dark spatial cracks behind her. So this power that seemed to be able to destroy the world was all compressed by Tang Yuan on her right foot, and she quickly descended from the sky in a golden rooster's independent posture, aiming at the belly of the fat man floating in the middle of the pool. Tang Yuan probably guessed what was about to happen, turned around to face the wall with a look of compassion, lit 3 cigarettes and stuffed them into his mouth. I heard a loud sound like a star exploding from behind, accompanied by a deep tenor voice, Vold Maria. It should be to say my mother, right? Speaking of which, who is the mother of void will, chaos? Turning his head again, Tang Yuan looked at his own mother happily swimming in the swimming pool, beside a fat man who looked half dead, who was yelling ouch. Foot control benefits, right? Tang Yuan swam half a circle in the pool, then kicked the fat man to the shore. You should have heard me calling you just now, but you didn't bother to answer, did you? The fat man wriggled for a long time, and finally turned over and lay down on the ground. A set of vest, shorts, flip-flops appeared on his body, and then he kept the posture of throwing himself on the ground and said, "Sister, I was wrong." Tang Yuan also climbed up from the swimming pool. Her body changed into her previous white windbreaker again. She raised her right foot wearing hard leather boots and stepped on this guy's buttocks. "Go call someone. When the time comes, we will gather outside my house. Don't ask me why, I'm too lazy to tell you." Yes, big sister, I'll go right away." The fat man tremblingly agreed. "Don't hit me, I'll go right away." So the fat man pulled out a door from the ground, opened it and a cart rolled around and slipped in. Tang Yuan looked at his own mother expressionlessly. "Aren't you afraid that you'll be lazy outside?" "He doesn't dare." Tang Yuan crossed her hips and said arrogantly, "As long as he has the guts, if he dares to be lazy outside, I dare to kick his ass into hollow heart shape." Having said that, this fat man's name seems to be Qin Xiao. What a nice name. To be continued. Chapter 265 Psychological Shadow. For a long time after that, Tang Yuan followed his own mother around, went to various voids and met various people, which greatly expanded his outlook on life. So like this, more and more wills wandering in the void. Sometimes when 2 people come to a new void, they find that the void will has already left to call people. Soon, almost all the will of the void was summoned, and they all gathered outside Tang Yuan's void. When Tang Yuan followed his own mother back to the door of his home, he saw that the gray-white smoke and the chaos was dispersed by unknown means, and there was a large group of people floating in the dark in front of him. Thousands of people. It can't be said that they are all human, because some void will chooses other images. For example, Marka is always a fat cat, and Tang Yuan has already seen a talking tank, a wife, a helicopter. You must know that the scene of thousands of people crowded together is quite shocking. Of course, when I was in school, I raised the flag every week and did exercises between classes every day. Probably my friends have long been used to seeing so many people standing on the playground. This is not the most shocking, because these are all the will of the void. The strongest creature in the chaos, not even the strongest, should be invincible. As far as Tang Yuan knows, there is no existence other than chaos that can have an impact on these great gods. Right now, Tang Yuan and his own mother were standing in front of the dark crowd. Tang Yuan glanced at the brothers and sisters in front of her, and raised her hand aggressively. So the group of void wills all lowered their heads and shouted in unison, "Big sister. It seems that my mother's background is not small. Could it be that she also belongs to the leadership position in the will of the void?" And Tang Yuan responded, and then said with a serious face, "I believe you can also see my current state. Yes, the IUC is just a small part that split off a long time ago, but this small part of me has now become the only normal me. What I want to ask everyone today is to attack my void with all of them, and destroy the one that has been completely eroded by chaos. I find it out. Destroy it. I can't tolerate that guy's continued sabotage, even though she created the children in it now, but she is no longer qualified to be a mother. I will take over again this void created by me. Oh. The large group of void wills all raised their arms and shouted. Then what are you waiting for? Follow me, let's go. Tang Yuan waved her small hand, carried her son, and took the lead into the void of her home, followed by a mighty group of servants with terrifying fighting power. Tang Yuan followed his own mother forward, but felt that this was so exciting, being led by his own mother to rebel, and it was his own mother who rebelled. Sounds a bit weird? Hey, Mom, I have a question. He looked at Tang Yuan, who was walking ahead holding his hand, and whispered. Put. Ahem, what? I've been thinking, didn't you think that such a day would come when you went crazy and killed all the first-generation wills a long time ago? So split the current part of you, come out and put it in my mind. In addition to letting me know the truth of the year in the future, there is also that after the management of the dog outside is completely out of control in the future, you can lead a large group of void will to push her down and let this normal you take over the void. Tang Yuan was silent for a moment, then nodded lightly and said, maybe, if it were me, I would really do this. In this case, then what I do now is also planned by the previous I. Well, maybe she's already ready for this day, maybe. Tang Yuan felt that this sounded a bit sad. He glanced at his own mother and found that her face was not very good looking at the moment, and he didn't know whether it was because she was about to kill myself or because everything to be done after that had already been done. Being calculated by myself has a feeling of being manipulated. Mom, I support you, he said without thinking. Tang Yuan turned her head and didn't look at him again, and didn't speak, but just squeezed his hand tightly. Soon, the two brought a large group of void wills to the secondary void here. It was a leisurely day as always. There was a sound of pots and pans colliding with each other in Zalubia's small building, and the smell of food slowly permeated. Ruby, where's this soy sauce? Find this soy sauce for me. Elsa was tossing around in the kitchen, turning her head and yelling towards the living room. Oh. The soy sauce is in the new cabinet on the left wall. Zalubia yelled towards the kitchen while sitting in the living room. Did you find it? I found it, I found it. Hey, when did you install this cabinet? Brother helped me pack it after he came to my house to cook. He didn't like to bend over to look for condiments in the cabinet under the stove when cooking, and it was too busy to put it on the stove. I was an eyesore, so he installed a cabinet for me. Lin Xiaoyu stared at the TV with a remote control in her hand, and suddenly said to Zalubia, pull you down, talk like my dead ghost likes to come to your house to cook when he has nothing to do. He has only entered your kitchen 3 times. The cabinet was installed after the 2nd time, right? Zalubia gave her a blank look. Hey, I found that you seem to be getting more and more sour now, what's the matter? Liu Yun on the side said, normal, our Wasabi was like this when she was pregnant with Kibeo. When we went out to fish for fish, she would sniff us and ask us if we hooked up with a female fox outside. Oh my god, there are only our family of foxes for hundreds of miles over there, so where are the others? Not far away. Ji Luo was dissatisfied again, and said, don't talk nonsense, isn't there a cat demon near your house? I think she is quite nice, and she looks very strange in your eyes. Do you want me to have one someday? Talk to Wasabi when you're free. Liu Yun was in a hurry, that's a cat. Can cats and foxes see each other? Ji Luo's voice also became louder, isn't the fox the undercover agent sent by the cat family to the canine family? Why don't you two see eye to eye? Liu Yun remained silent with a dazed expression. It was very suspicious, and the scene fell silent for a while. Then someone opened the door and walked in, and asked, I said, why is Tanya the only one sleeping in the living room at home? Yuriko and Yequin were teasing Earlyung and Sanjin outside, but I asked the little girl who was watching the theater next to her. Only the North knows. Why did you all come here? What did I hear just now? What happened to Liu Yun and the cat demon? Everyone looked in the direction of the door. Tang Yuan walked in carelessly. Liu Yun slipped over, boss. Ji Luo said that we and Xiaozhang looked at each other right. Could that be called cross eyes? We just often fish with Xiaozhang. Doing mom. What are you doing, boss? Tang Yuan shook his hands. It's okay, I'm used to it, and, you're still addicted to wearing skirts, aren't you? Why did you change to floral ones this time? How should I explain to Sister Wasabi if she knows? Go back and change into the same pair of trousers for me. It's really shameful. Take off your skirt. Do you like it? Tang Yuan squeezed her skirt and ran to the corner of the wall with an aggrieved expression. What are you talking about? Tang Yuan lost his composure when he heard what he was muttering. At this time Zalubia came up to meet her. Brother, you are finally back. For nearly 2 months, that girl Xiao came to me every day, and I almost thought that child was mine. This time I rest how many days? Let's rest for a while. Can we wait until Xiao gives birth to the baby? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Tang Yuan waved his hands cheerfully. I went to Zhou last time. Bah, didn't I sleep for thousands of years when I went to the Cretaceous period last time? But when I came back, I forgot to hand in my things. Tuida. I finally remembered this. Hey, we will send this to her later. It should solve her problem. Oh, and, old girl, come and see what I bring. Who's coming back? A question mark appeared on Zalubia's head, and she stuck her head behind Tang Yuan to have a look. Yao Xiao. Brother, why did you bring the dog management here? The dog management Luna. Elisa. Elisa, stop cooking. Run. So this girl seemed to see a scourge. He turned around and ran to the window opposite the living room in a panic, slammed his head out, and disappeared without a trace, accompanied by the sound of cracking glass shattering. Tang Yuan looked at her own son calmly, then at the shards of glass on the opposite side of the living room, and choked out a sentence. What's wrong with me? To be continued. Chapter 266. This is just a game of chess. Tang Yuan managed to get Zalubia back, so she had the courage to face the dog management. Come on, let me introduce you. This is my own mother, not the dog management you mentioned. Although it has something to do with dog management, she has a normal mind, at least more normal than dog management. He pointed out as Tang Yuan introduced to everyone. She turned her head and said to Tang Yuan, Mother, this group of weird-looking guys is what I told you before. Look, the one playing with a part over there is my wife. Everything else is just a trick. Oh, Tang Yuan nodded, and waved to the group of people in front of her. Hi, you guys. So Tang Yuan was swarmed up by a group of dragons and beat him up. After a long time, after a normal mutual introduction, Tang Yuan also began to tell everyone her own story. After hearing this, Zalubia first raised her hand and said, so the dog's brain has been out of order since then, and you are a part of her split when her brain is temporarily normal. That's right, that's it. Tang Yuan smiled and nodded. Then why haven't you told us what your name is? You see, we have been calling you mother since ancient times, and we have been calling you as a dog manager after you have a brain problem. We never know her name. Can you say no? This, Tang Yuan glanced at her own son. I guess you should be familiar with this name. Hearing what she said, Zalubia didn't understand what it meant at all, and continued to ask, what the hell is it that you are not unfamiliar? I just want to ask for the name. How can a child not know the name of his stepmother? What happened to the stepmother later? Tang Yuan looked at Zalubia in shock. This girl seemed to say a terrible word out of nowhere. Stepmother? Seeing his expression and gaze, Zalubia tilted her head and said, isn't she a stepmother? Although I have a better impression of a stepmother than my real mother, a stepmother is a stepmother. Sister, I have to tell you, this guy and the dog management are the same person, but they were separated a long time ago. This is not a stepmother, you should understand her as a normal-minded dog management. But it was indeed dog management who created us. You see, although she is dog management, she is not the one who created us, but is going to take over the position of dog management. Isn't she still a stepmother? Why is it not a thing, but it is also a real mother? Your argument, well, it seems very reasonable. Tang Yuan shook his head and decided not to argue with her about whether she was a stepmother, but pointed to Tang Yuan and said, don't you want to know her name? You see, I am her only biological son, created before the split, not after the split, so she named me Tang Yuan. Guess what her name is? Zalubia turned her head away and whispered, what's your name? How do I know? Can it still be called Tang Yuan or something? The answer is correct. My mother clapped her hands suddenly and shouted, hey. As soon as the camera turned, Tang Yuan had already left after a brief chat. She still had to go to meet up with a big army and get rid of the dog management. Naturally, Tang Yuan consciously stayed because he couldn't help much, and stopped running around with his own mother. It should be said, He had already completed the task assigned to him by history. It was still in Zalubia's room. At this moment, Zalubia was lying on the sofa in a daze, muttering in her mouth, "Stepmother, is she really called Tang Yuan? So if you only know the name of the dog management, will there be some unnecessary doubts when you meet the big brother?" So the dog management even counts this, deliberately not revealing his name after that? So that we can hear, won't there be any feeling of something wrong when you use the name Tang Yuan? Maybe. Tang Yuan sat on the sofa next to him and watched Edwina teaching Beijiao how to arrange fire runes. It felt like Beijiao, a little vixen, was about to be cultivated into a great magician, and it really was. A great magician of the fire department. All he had to do was embroider an FFF icon on his clothes. So the dog manager outside actually expected such a day. Sylvia looked at the dark sky outside the window with an inexplicable expression. Sooner or later she will lose control, and sooner or later the last first-generation will discover her own identity, see her normal part in the illusion, and then go to other voids, so the normal part can leave the illusion and become a new void will to take her place. All these have been calculated by her, all right. That's right, she calculated it all. Tang Yuan also sat next to her in a daze. The only thing she didn't figure out is maybe the infection of chaos and killing the first generation of whales. Thinking of this, his face suddenly changed. No, wait a minute. Then his face became tangled up, as if he was thinking about something. "Brother, what's wrong with you?" Seeing his appearance, Sylvia leaned forward. "What's wrong? Is there anything unreasonable?" Tang Yuan thought about it for a long time, then suddenly looked at her with horror on his face, and said quietly, "Maybe the dog management's calculations go further than this." "Hey? What do you mean? Have you ever thought? If you found yourself infected by chaos from the very beginning, and sooner or later you would become what you are now, then why would she continue to build her own void? Why did she create the first generation the will, and even later, has lost control once, killing all the will of the first generation? Why didn't you learn the lesson after that, and continue to create you?" Sylvia felt something was wrong when she heard it. "You mean, that's right, these may all be in her plan." Tang Yuan looked out the window, his face uncertain. Is it possible? She knew that she would eventually have this day, so she created the first generation of wills when I was young. I was ready to kill them out of control, and then, the first generation of wills were all dead, so she collected the remains of the first generation of wills, created me, and split another consciousness to be normal, the self that was not infected by chaos, sealed up the normal self in my mind, just to let this hatred slowly ferment. Hey, it's not so scary, is it? Hearing this, Zalubia immediately lost her composure. What is she trying to do like this? Picture what? Think about it. Now suddenly there is a new dog management that is conscious and good for children, pushes the original dog management down, and then amnesties the world. You who have been bullied by the dog management so much, what will the wills of the years do when they hear that the dog management is dead? Sylvia's eyes widened, overjoyed, accepting this new mother quickly. That's right, this is probably the result that the dog management wants. It can not only build its own void, but also preserve a normal self in advance. Let her take over my position in the future, and let myself be eroded by chaos, like fate. All the blame was borne by her alone. And my own mother, your stepmother, was destined to come to liberate you, and she would only get a great mother who saved her children. Such a good name. These may have been calculated by Tang Yuan. If you don't do this, even if you know that Tang Yuan is infected by chaos, once she loses control, she will kill your brothers and sisters, so there will always be a gap between mother and child. But if a sane Tang Yuan came to replace the depraved Tang Yuan, then even if you lost so many brothers and sisters, you would not place the blame on this new Tang Yuan, but on the new Tang Yuan. This Tang Yuan showed great love. This is probably the plan of the dog management, all of which are actually paving the way for the part of the self that split off in the first place for the purpose of finally destroying herself. And the road of this road, the end point, the final beneficiary, is the self that split off at the beginning, and is destined to kill her own self in the end. But, why do you want to leave all this to the later Tang Yuan? No, there are still a lot of things I haven't figured out. Why didn't I just put the split Tang Yuan in the void to inherit her position, but put her in my mind, and then directly exile myself into the chaos, finally die? Well, yes, she is afraid that if she loses control in the chaos, she will go to other voids to cause damage. She pushed herself to such a situation where she had to die, just to shape another A-positive image of yourself. After hearing all this, Zalubia fell silent. She looked up at the sky above, as if she could see Tang Yuan, who was curled up in the endless void and fell into deep sleep, and asked softly, "My lord, does she really think so?" She didn't use the name dog management, but used the name the Wills called her a long time ago, when Tang Yuan was not out of control. Tang Yuan reasoned for a long time and felt a little weak, and replied in a low voice, "If this is the case, it really fits the image of the real Tang Yuan I know these days. If it was her, it would really be like this." To be continued. Chapter 267. Tomorrow is coming. In the end, Tang Yuan really got enough evidence to prove his inference. After hearing what he said, Tang Yuan also proved the feasibility of this plan. At the earliest time, Tang Yuan was infected by chaos, so she began to plan how to make her own death more meaningful. In the end, she came up with such a plan. First, she created the last will of the first generation, and then split a part of herself to keep gained rational consciousness, sealed it in the mind of the original will, and then continued to create the wills of the following world as if nothing had happened. In their eyes, it keeps magnifying, and when the other self that was split at the beginning knows about this, that self will never tolerate this kind of killing of its own child, so it will try its best to defeat itself. In this way, in Tang Yuan's plan, her own death was utilized to the maximum extent, and at the same time, what she got in return was a void that suffered a little loss but was incomparably prosperous overall. She traded the death of herself and some of her children in exchange for a stable life for all of her children in the future, instead of the other negative plan that she had conceived at the beginning. Just like this, she endured the erosion of chaos without saving a conscious mind in advance. The self continues to create wills until it finally degenerates completely, and the entire void follows itself to the end. When all this was confirmed by Tang Yuan, it was already over. The will of the void finally found Tang Yuan, who had fallen into deep sleep in the deepest part of the void. At this time, Tang Yuan had been eroded by chaos, and completely lost her mind. As soon as she was awakened, she crazily launched an attack on her former brothers and sisters. But the will of the void came prepared and quickly controlled the scene. The power of all the will of the void combined is a force that nothing can resist. Finally, under the leadership of Tang Yuan, they successfully eliminated Tang Yuan. Sounds a little weird? This woman who solved the chaos problem at the beginning, saved all the will of the void, and saved her brothers and sisters, was finally killed by another herself leading the brothers and sisters. Everything was just as Tang Yuan thought. When the news was broadcast in the secondary void, there was a trembling cheer from the infinite land. No one was even saddened by Tang Yuan's death, even if she is the people who created this place, but the wills are not willing to live in the fear of being killed at any time. Some people may express a certain degree of sadness about this, but more of them are yearning for the future. Tang Yuan quickly took over her predecessor's seat and became the manager of this void. Don't tell me, that guy can really count so far. She knew early on that because I was just a split part of my consciousness, I didn't have enough strength to fight her, so I would definitely go to other voids to find foreign aid. At this time, everyone gathered in Tang Yuan's small wooden house. It was some kind of celebration, and at this time Tang Yuan had already heard his deduction on this matter from her son, and she nodded deeply, expressing that this matter was very important. May be true. Do you know that at the same time as she died, the periphery of the void began to collapse? I didn't even have the authority to connect to the void. Fortunately, I brought a large group of followers to help me stabilize the void. Only then did I have enough time to slowly take over the control of the void. To be honest, this may be the reason why she committed suicide after she didn't split me directly, because there was no time to go to other voids to ask for help. After all, it is a state that may lose control again at any time, and I dare not just run into other people's void. At this time Tang Yuan asked, but why did she still create so many world wills? If you just want you to find someone to overthrow her later, there is no need to create so many world wills. You see, she is out of control. The time did cause a lot of casualties, and these casualties were completely avoidable, as long as the wills were not created before. Are you stupid? Tang Yuan knocked on him. She did this just to keep you alive. Hey? What do you mean? Let me live. Yes, think about it, if you don't create so much will, the entire void will be empty. How long do you think it will take to find you in this empty void? If she goes crazy and prepares to kill Yuan stared at him and said, "That's why she created so many wills and built countless worlds in the void. Only in this way can she turn her attention to these innocent children when she is going crazy, so that she can let the children go crazy. You live peacefully. The point is not you, but me who was still in your mind at that time, because I was only a part of consciousness at that time, and I couldn't leave your illusion for the time being, and I needed to gradually strengthen myself as time went by. So, to say something irresponsible, although I don't like this, and those children who died did suffer for no reason, but there is nothing to do about it." At this point, Tang Yuan finally completed his mission, and finally understood his own life experience and the reason for his birth. Although this is a tragedy, at least the ending doesn't make people feel so regretful. But soon he asked again, "So, what about those chaos? What about those pitch black things? What if a bunch of chaos popped out from nowhere in the future and infected someone? What to do?" As soon as this question came out, everyone was not calm. Yes, what caused all this is not so much Tang Yuan, but rather the chaos that appeared out of nowhere at the very beginning. If there is no such thing, how can there be so many things? Question mark. What if something like that pops up again in the future? You must know that even the will of the void can't completely get rid of the erosion of this thing. If the ordinary will of the world is spread with this ghost thing, it's like sprinkling salt on a slug, belching on the spot. However, Tang Yuan waved her hand with a smile, signaling everyone to calm down, and replied, "It's okay, it's okay. The reason for chaos to appear at the very beginning was because of the birth of the will of the void. As long as there is no new will of the void, there will be nothing else. There will be no new chaos, and, as I said, we are the first and last void will, and there will be no new void will in the future. We have put chaos into existence a long time ago, divided into two parts. One side is where we live, and the other side is where we exile those ghosts, and now this side has been completely cleaned up by us. It should be said that it was cleaned up by the original eye. Now the only eye that still has a source of pollution has been wiped out, so it can be said that this place is completely safe. Why there is always a feeling of killing a donkey? It's okay, even if it's a matter between you and yourself, it's a matter between you and yourself. According to the law, it's not a crime for you to do something against yourself." Tang Yuan shrugged. "I haven't heard of anyone because I stabbed myself and was sentenced. That's just crazy." "Oh, are you saying I'm crazy?" Tang Yuan stared at her own son with a chill in her smile. "You haven't been beaten by your own mother since you grew up, right? Come here, I promise not to hit you." So Tang Yuan was intimidated. At this time, Sylvia, who remained silent from the beginning to the end, yelled, "The drawing is finished," and threw the colored pencils in her hand on the table. Tang Yuan leaned over to take a look. She drew a picture, which showed Tang Yuan standing on a balcony with a parasol, and behind her was a sea of flowers all over the sky. The whole picture looked as lifelike as a photo. Moreover, Tang Yuan in the painting reveals a gentle and peaceful temperament, just like the Virgin Mary. "The painting is not bad. Are you going to frame it and hang it on the wall?" He looked at the painting and asked. "Yes, I will hang it in my room at that time, and I will be able to see my mother every day from now on." Zilubia held the painting and said with a smile, "Although I like my current stepmother more, I don't seem to like it now." "How do you hate dog management?" Tang Yuan blinked her eyes. Her brown pupils looked at the red-eyed but smiling self in the painting. She didn't say anything, just showed a bitter smile. In the future, everyone can live a stable life, right? End of the second volume. Chapter 268. Demon Hunter Li Sanguang. In 1998, that was a day I will never forget. The day a nightmare I never want to recall swept through this small city in the American West, and all its citizens became walking dead, parading through the streets, talking about my desire for flesh and blood. At that time, I was just a rookie who had just taken office, so I walked through this hell on earth. Finally, the truth of the mystery surfaced, and the culprit of all this was the internationally renowned drug company, Umbrella Corporation. After all this was exposed, the government ordered the destruction of Raccoon City with a nuclear bomb, and at the same time froze Umbrella's stock, and finally, Umbrella collapsed. A dilapidated small police car with Policia written on it was driving on the rough dirt road. There were two small police officers speaking Spanish and English in the front seat of the car, while in the back seat of the car was a man with a full head. The white-haired young man sat leaning against him in a shabby pose, muttering to himself. Finally, the chubby guy in the passenger seat turned around and asked in his Spanish-speaking English, "What are you talking about, old cowboy, by yourself?" The white-haired man with typical Anglo-Saxon appearance looked up at him, then lowered his head again. Remember the past. Cut. The fat guy turned his head with a puckered face, and muttered, "You fried chicken guys just talk too much? Hey, fried chicken isn't the symbol of America." The white-haired man said angrily, "You might as well call me a cowboy." Again, "What the hell are you doing here?" The skinny guy in the driver's seat stared ahead and asked the white-haired man behind, "A suspicious person like you, why do we? The boss arranged for us to assist you in your operation and told us not to ask more questions? Are you an agent of the Pentagon? Are you here to recover the spacecraft of aliens? Look for someone." The white-haired man fell silent after finishing speaking. At this time, the fat man's expression became a little unnatural. His legs were clamped tightly, and he reached out and patted the thin man next to him. "Stop the car, I have to pee." Crackling, the dilapidated police car stopped by the side of the road, and the fat man ran down quickly, stood on the side of the road, unzipped his trouser chain, and began to spray water. Squeaky, and the fog filled the air for a while. The skinny guy in the car took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket with fast hands, took one out and put it in his mouth, and then stretched the pack behind him. "Would you like one?" The white-haired man thought for a while, nodded, and took a cigarette from it. "Thanks." Click, suck. "Speaking of which, should an old cowboy like you who looks awesome be a cigar smoker?" The thin guy asked with a smile. "No offense, just my impression is that Yankees smoke cigars. You watch too many movies." The white-haired man said, "I didn't smoke before. I blame the guy." "Who?" "It's nothing." At this moment, the fat guy lifted his trousers and ran to the car again. "Damn, it's so cold outside. It's so cold that I shrink my eggs. Let's go." The dilapidated police car drove again into the thick fog ahead. The police car drove over a suspension bridge, and then stopped on the side of the road. Some hazy buildings could be vaguely seen ahead. "Okay, that's it, hurry up yourself," the skinny guy said with a playful smile. "I don't want to mess with you, and I don't want to be fined for parking illegally. Yet, what the hell is issuing a ticket?" The white-haired man got out of the car with a displeased face, closed the door with a bang, and complained, "Who are these people?" After getting out of the car, he took out the walkie-talkie, tuned the channel, and a young woman's voice came from inside. "Leon, can you hear me?" I heard it very clearly. "That's good. I'm Ingrid Hannigan, and I'm your intelligence agent. Remember, this mission is very important. In order to rescue the target, you must do whatever it takes. Understood?" Wait a minute, what's your name?" "Hanny." "Hey, good. So Hannigan unilaterally cut off the communication from there." "That's right. This white-haired young man who is definitely a mild killer in China is Leon Scott Kennedy, who escaped from Raccoon City 6 years ago. A certain mentally retarded person got the blood of a demon hunter, and slowly became like this in 6 years. He always felt as if he had become a lot like some old Italian hooligan in a red trench coat. Maybe that was an illusion. In the past few years, he has always had the same dream. In the dream, he was wearing a red windbreaker, using a pair of black and white double guns, and carrying a huge sword with a skull carved on the grid. Along the way, he encountered many monsters that looked like demons, but they were all vulnerable to him like watermelons and potatoes. It's really addictive to be a superhero. But every time he woke up from the dream, he was still the secret agent, a survivor of the tragedy in Raccoon City, not a demon hunter at all. For this reason, he almost got schizophrenia, and he always felt as if he still had a personality that he called Dante. Without mentioning these, let's talk about this task. A few days ago, he received an order from above. A person who is very important to the United States was kidnapped by unknown persons. After the investigation by the intelligence team, he locked the last appearance of the VIP in this remote village in Spain, so now Lion, already the #1 trump card of the government, received this task and went to this ghost place to rescue the VIP. After teasing Hannigan and being hung up on the communication, Leon smiled, took out 2 pistols, one black and one white, loaded them with both hands at the same time, put the pistol back on his waist, and looked at an old building not far away. "The house, head over there." "This house?" Looking closer, it seems that no one has lived in it for a long time. It is full of dust, cobwebs and so on. I don't know why this kind of dilapidated house has not collapsed after so many years. At this time, he heard the sound of moving things in the house, as well as the cracking sound of firewood. It seems that there are still people living in such dilapidated houses. This village is really a poor mountain village. What is the Spanish government doing? He slandered, then went to gently open the door and walked into the room. After entering the house, he saw a raging fire burning in the fireplace beside it, and a pot was placed on it, and a strong aroma wafted from the pot. Potato beef stew, definitely goulash, and it has Chinese spices in it. Beside the pot was an old man with a white beard, wearing a worn-out shirt and suspenders, stirring in the pot with a spoon in his hand, muttering, singing. There's a girl named Zia Fang in the village. Lion felt that the painting style of this mission seemed a bit abnormal, although he couldn't explain why. He just felt that there was something wrong with this mission. To be continued. Chapter 269. Welcome to Mud Village. Lion felt that something was wrong with this mission from beginning to end. First of all, an important person was kidnapped, and my task was to find this VIP, but the superior didn't give me any information about the VIP, not even a photo, so I just threw myself in Spain. God knows who that VIP is. Then, as the #1 agent, I am busy all day long with the task of sneaking into the government of a certain country to steal confidential information and assassinate key members of a certain terrorist organization. Go alone to the territory occupied by terrorists to suppress the rebellion by one person. In an ordinary rescue operation like this, it is logically impossible to find him. However, the high-level executive seemed to have a convulsion and asked him to rescue the VIP by name. President Graham also said to him earnestly, "We must rescue him as soon as possible, even if it is not for the United States, it is also for us." Ah, you don't know that after my precious daughter heard that that guy was kidnapped, she really ran to me all day long whenever she saw me and yelled at me. My ears are still ringing now. The president's daughter, Ashley Graham, Leon has seen before. She is a pretty little girl, a typical American girl, but what does that VIP have to do with the president's daughter? So who is it? Question mark. He suddenly had an ominous premonition, as if there would be some incredible developments in this operation. When he came back to his senses, the old man with the white beard knocked his spoon on the edge of the pot, knocked the lump of beef sticking on it back into the pot, then turned around to look at Leon, and said with a smile, "Spanish, welcome, there are very few outsiders in this place, what's the matter?" Leon could understand Spanish anyway, so he stammered and replied, "Then what? I'm here to find someone. Excuse me, have any foreigners been here recently?" The old man with the white beard smiled, and said kindly, "Outsiders? A lot of outsiders have come here recently, and they are probably resting in the village at the moment, as if they are here for tourism. Oh, by the way, there is a meeting in the village in the afternoon. I will take you there before that time. Now I am going to have lunch. Are you hungry? Come and eat together." It is really rare to see such hospitable villagers, so Leon nodded. "Well, thank you, I am indeed a little hungry." The old man laughed, took the pot and put it on the table next to him, and found 2 plates from the side cabinet. These plates were different from the dirty environment around them. They were so clean that they shone brightly, and then the old man put them on 2 plates of goulash with potatoes were filled, and he waved to Leon, "Come on, sit down, I haven't chatted with anyone for a long time, and you just happened to chat with me." "Oh, thank you again." Leon sat down at the table, looked at the goulash that looked dazzling as if it was a legendary dish, and saw the old man crossing his fingers on his chest and closing his eyes as if he was praying, so he waited politely and quietly for him to finish his prayers without touching the food on the table. After a while, the old man opened his eyes, saw Leon's actions, smiled gratifiedly, and said, "I almost forgot, let me introduce myself, but I am too old, I forgot what my name is, but I still remember my ancestors seem to have moved from Britain hundreds of years ago. My surname is Lee, you can call me Old Man Lee." Hello Mr. Lee, my name is Leon, Leon Scott Kennedy, nice to meet you." After introducing himself like a textbook, Leon asked, "Mr. Lee, if I take the liberty, but where are your children?" Old Man Lee chuckled again, "My daughter has moved to the city, and sometimes she will come back to visit me and bring me some interesting little things. My son lives in the village and takes care of the small orchard left by his ancestors. Grandchildren and grandchildren live in the city with my daughter, and I don't come back often. I want to live in peace, so I live here at the entrance of the village. I can live well by myself, but sometimes it's a bit difficult to move things. My son often said that he wanted to come and live with me, but I refused. Yep, he's an empty nest old man, and he's still mildly talkative." In this way, Leon and Old Man Lee settled their lunch while talking, and then went out. The two poor guys were still waiting in the car hungry. Seeing Leon coming out, the skinny guy got out of the car window and yelled, "Hey, cowboy, are you done?" Leon thought for a while, and then shouted over there, "I can't finish it for now, why don't you two go back first? When the director asks, just say what I mean." "Oh. Tell me sooner. Both my brothers didn't have lunch." The thin man complained, started the car, turned around and drove across the suspension bridge, and left here. Then Leon was taken all the way to the village by the old man Lee. During this period, there were desolate scenes all the way, and there was a hint of warmth in the melancholy atmosphere. After entering the gate of the village, he looked around. The village looked very dilapidated. If he didn't see a large group of villagers coming and going doing farm work, he would have thought this place was a ghost village. When the villagers saw Old Man Lee, they stopped what they were doing and waved at him. "Hey, Old Man Lee, you came here so early. The meeting is still early." "Huh? Who is that young man behind you?" Old Man Lee also replied cheerfully, "He is here to find someone. I wondered if a few foreigners came here a while ago. Maybe the person he was looking for was inside, so he brought them here. It's a good one. Young man. Where is my son? Is it over there in the orchard?" As soon as the words fell, a middle-aged man wearing a wool cap ran over from the side. "Daddy, I'm here. Have you eaten yet?" Eat. How is the orchard harvest this year? Didn't you ask a few days ago?" "Okay, let me answer again. A cannery found me and signed a contract, and most of the fruit can be sold, but we don't need much money in this country. Should we still call the children at that time? You have the final say." Old Man Lee dropped this sentence, then looked around as if looking for someone. After looking for a long time, he asked the people around him, "Where's the village chief?" "Mr. Mendez is in the church now. I heard that he is so stupid that he has another convulsion. The old village chief is probably busy with his arrogance now." A guy next to him said, "Old Man Lee, you are going to go now, church? That's fine, you can go there first and sit and chat with the village chief." Ever since the village chief received the outsider, he seemed to be possessed, holding that strange book in his hand all day long. "I don't know what kind of words are written in that book, I don't know any of them." Another ant next to him grabbed the boy by the ear and said, "I told you that it was English. You brat told you to go to school and you didn't go to school. Don't be ashamed, Old Man Lee, you go to church first, we hear there are still a lot of things to be done. See you in the church then." "Well, okay, boy, come." Old Man Lee led Leon into a room with an iron door. "There's a tunnel over there, and it's much faster to walk from there, but it's a bit tiring to climb the ladder. Let's go." Looking at this harmonious village, Leon always felt as if he had missed something. Maybe if those things were really encountered, he would definitely wish to miss them, but this did not affect his feeling of worrying about gains and losses. To be continued. Chapter 270, Retiring from Education and Safeguarding Safety. In this way, Leon followed Old Man Lee all the way to the church along the tunnel. I can't tell whether this church is in the style of Catholicism or Christianity. Anyway, there is a big cross on the top. It seems that the people in this village believe in the old man Jesus. In the mountains, it is indeed easy to have some strange things like cults. Old Man Lee led him to push open the door of the church and walked in. As soon as he entered the door, he saw that the inside was full of candles. It seemed that he was preparing for a more formal ceremony or something. Leon didn't know much about religion and the like. So I also looked at this large area of candles and said that I didn't know the purpose. Those outsiders are probably talking to the village chief on the second floor right now. I'm too lazy to go up there. Go and see if there's anyone you're looking for. I want to say a prayer in advance." After the old man finished speaking, he sat down on the bench, bowed his head and closed his eyes without moving, and Leon walked up the upper floor of the church from the staircase next to it that seemed to have been built not long ago. There were only a few grocery stores up here, so he walked to the door and first listened to see if there was any movement inside. Ha, 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 you're so silly, how are you? Are you convinced? That's what passed into his ears. The point is not the content of the words, but the person who said them. Leon swears with his own soul, he will never forget this damned voice in his life. Immediately, he steadied his horse, sank into his dantian, and stretched out his fist, knocked on the door. Knock knock, then a voice came from inside. "Who is it?" "Water delivery." Leon replied angrily. "Oh, that's fine, you can put it outside, I have already given the money to your boss. Lee Sang-yuan was dissatisfied on the spot. This girl is pretty good, isn't she? Question mark. So he reached out to turn the doorknob, but the door was locked, so he knocked on the door again. If this place wasn't a church, he would have kicked the door and cursed loudly, but it's a good thing this is a church. Fuck you. Open the door for me. If you don't open my mother's door, the door will be blown up. Well, even if it is a church, this girl still scolds the street. Come here. So the door was finally opened, and the people inside also looked unhappy, cursing. Fuck, I dare not talk like that in front of me. Who are you? Is it possible? It's the one with the surname Lee, huh? Damn it. Likely. Devil Hunter Lee Sang-yuan. Who else is this guy who opened the door? Tang Yuan chant. It really is you. I knew who it was when I heard your voice. Leon squeezed in through the door with an angry expression on his face. You said you came to this impoverished mountain village in Spain to do something. What? Do you engage in a cult? Be careful, I will report you, and the, bonus will be split between the two of us. The cult is okay, don't tell me, I really came to this hellish place to run a cult. Tang Yuan smiled and stood aside, revealing the people behind him. Look at this thing. What caught Lee Sang-yuan's eyes was an old man wearing a gorgeous purple gown with a gold trim. He didn't know how old he was, but he was at least 60 years old. He was tied to a large iron frame by thick iron chains. That shape looks as miserable as it is miserable. You don't seem like the kind of guy who would abuse the elderly, do you? Leon glanced at Tang Yuan. What's this guy doing? You're messing with him. Could it be that he's really a cult? It's not that bad. Tang Yuan kicked the old man again as he spoke. It was about a month ago, when I came here when I had nothing to do. The veracity of this sentence is doubtful. Guess what? This place has been the fiefdom of a nobleman named Salazar since ancient times. Of course, it may not be anymore after the reform and opening up, but the locals still show great respect to the Lord Salazar. The point is not the city lord, the point is that a long time ago, the city lord of Salazar discovered a terrible biological fossil. At first I thought it was just an extinct creature, but later on the fossil should have died for tens of millions of years. The monster came back to life. Finally, the city lord managed to destroy the resurrected monster and bury the rest of the fossils under the castle. It's a fascinating story. Leon nodded, but what does this have to do with the old man running a cult? Yes. That creature is a parasite that can control the host's consciousness and thoughts, turning the host into a stupid puppet, and at the same time greatly strengthening the host's physical fitness. So after those hundreds of years, a sect calling itself Los Illuminados somehow convinced the current city lord to release the parasites buried underground. You can make up your own mind about the rest of the situation. Sure enough, after listening to these words, Leon basically understood what happened in this place, and also understood why the village is dirty even though it is inhabited. It turns out that these villagers just returned to normal a month ago. Before that they were hosts of an ancient parasite, the Walking Dead. What do you mean, you have found a way to restore these villagers to normal? Leon looked at Tang Yuan's smug, I'm great, come and praise me expression, and asked, how did you do that? Tang Yuan chuckled, business secrets, there's nothing I can't do in this world. Only things I don't want to do. You should have talked to that old man Lee, right? To be honest, his daughter has gone there a long time ago. City, literally. Maybe his daughter is the only survivor of the place. Oh, and the kids were sent into the city too. Just think, the whole thing would have happened without me. Just one big tragedy, isn't it? So Leon stopped asking him about the process of saving the village, but looked at the dying old man who was chained in front of him, and asked, so this guy is the leader of that cult? That's right, Osman Sadler. This is the one who is called Silly Dilly by people in the world. Tang Yuan kicked Silly Dilly again as he spoke. This guy persuaded the city lord to release the parasite. Then, a military base and research institute were built on an island not far away to conduct research on this parasite, and he is the actual controller of this place, but that was already a month ago. This guy is the only one who still has parasites on his body now, and the others have been restored to normal by me. Oh, by the way, do you still remember Clauser? Clauser? What's wrong with him? Didn't he die in a plane crash 2 years ago? Leon still remembered his good friend who had acted with him in South America before. That guy actually didn't die, but was transformed by the virus. But I have been hung up and beaten and handed over to your country. and now he is probably living a happy life with Manuela in the National Research Institute live? Although freedom is restricted, it's good to live, isn't it, Clauser? He received a virus modification? What's going on? I'm too lazy to talk about the specific situation. After you go back, you can apply to go to the National Research Institute to see the two of them. Manuela, do you remember? It's the girl from the South American operation. Don't ask me how I know. Yes, the we is really fun. Tang Yuan took the subject of Krauser with a few words, and then continued to kick the fool with his feet. So this guy is trying to rule the world through parasites. So after I know this, I feel a sense of justice, destroyed this culture made up, and returned everyone to normal. The sense of accomplishment is great. He really is a scary guy. He was like this when he was in Raccoon City 6 years ago, and he is still like this now. Leon was talking to himself in his heart, looking at Tang Yuan with a strange look in his eyes. At the same time, he is also a psychopath who only does things on a whim. Then who are the other foreigners? Are they your followers? Where are they now? He asked. No, I didn't bring a follower, and you probably know the other people. They are next door. Do you want to go and see them? To be continued, Dark Chronicles. Although it is shot with a light gun, there are still some exclusive plots, such as the Maozi chapter and the South American chapter. I have to say that Kei Leosha and Lee Sanguang in the South American chapter are really good friends, especially after saving Leon. Kei Leosha said, repay me what you owe me. When I think of him and Leon facing swords in Resident Evil, I feel an inexplicable sadness. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271. How have you been these past few years? So, when Tang Yuan brought Leon to the next door, Leon was hugged by Brad, Joseph, and Richard to the corner of the wall again, saying, the junior who hasn't seen you for a long time needs to be taught male sign. This scene seems familiar, right? That's right, it happened in the police station in Resident Evil. The same thing happened to the same person, but the time and place were different. Seeing Leon being dragged to the corner again, Tang Yuan made a funny gesture, and then asked the other two people in the room, did you find anything? These two are Jill and Chris. Because Chris left Raccoon City earlier that year, he and Tang Yuan only met not long ago, and they are not very close, but Jill is different. She can become a magical girl, and she can set Chris up and roast him every day. Yuan's contribution cannot be ignored. So she nodded and smiled at Tang Yuan. It's not bad, I figured out the characteristics of some parasites. At this time, Chris and Jill were busy around a table filled with various instruments. The two of them were conducting a preliminary analysis of the parasites and compared to study the documents, pack these things up, and bring them back to the above when the time comes. Which one? BSAA, Bioterrorism Defense and Assessment Alliance, yay. At this time, the BSAA had been established, and because of the unscientific power displayed by some of them, since the old American government had no time to lock these great gods into the research institute, it had no choice but to make them some kind of idols, public figures, so the United Nations decided to take over and reorganize the BSAA as soon as it was founded, turning the BSAA into a borderless army, long live MSF, capable of combating biochemical terrorist activities around the world. See clearly, the BSAA belongs to the United Nations, and the Golden Dragon Nation is more or less involved. That's why the BSAA in biochemistry, appeared in Langxiang City of the Golden Dragon Nation. Stop yelling, the US Emperor really deserves it. It's the world's police, and we have to take care of our country's affairs. People's BSAA is not old-fashioned at all, it belongs to the United Nations. The cynics may say again, isn't the United Nations just like the United States? When you say this, be careful that the 5 hooligans will kill you together. Now Chris and Jill are sorting out and summarizing these materials, and initially analyzing the authenticity of these materials. After all this is done, they will hand over all these things to the BSAA headquarters, and the headquarters will study the countermeasures against this parasite. After a while, Leon also ran over here. He had just been taught by Brad and the others, and now his face was covered with ashes, and he was still muttering about the cancer of the industry and justice for the sky and so on. God knows what he went through just now. The sense of sight is so strong. Is this a parasite? He looked at a mysterious creature with dense tentacles and a culture tank on the research table, which looked a bit like an octopus but more like a parasitic beast in a comic book. When I moved, I felt nauseated. Why can this thing control the host's mind? The initial judgment should be that it can connect to the host's nerves, but I'm not sure. Jill was busy looking at the microscope, and didn't even bother to look at Leon. It's not a problem, but if the ghost thing inside is released, everyone present will be finished. Tang Yuan weakly raised his hand and said, "It's okay, I'm here." Doing so, he covered his head and went to the corner with Leon, talking and laughing happily with Brad and the others. A lot of things have happened in the past 6 years. Brad and the others should have died in Raccoon City, but because of Tang Yuan, they didn't die. Now that they have established BSAA with Chris, it can be regarded as the senior figures in the organization. The reason why they all dispatched together this time is because they received news from Tang Yuan that a new biochemical weapon appeared, which is likely to change the pattern of biochemical terrorism in the world today. So it was highly valued by the BSAA, and all these guys who were extremely powerful compared to ordinary people were thrown into this impoverished mountain village in Spain. Claire sighed. She was also investigating Umbrella after the Raccoon City incident. When she arrived at the Paris Research Institute of Umbrella's European branch. Originally, according to the plot of Veronica, she should have been a group of big men arrested on the spot. You can have a book here, but this Claire is not that Claire at all, so relying on the elf's agility and shooting ability, she learned the magic of a three-legged cat from Jill by the way, and she just slaughtered it by herself. After arriving at the Paris Institute, followed the information all the way to Rockfort Island, and made a big fuss on the island. By the way, he contacted Chris through Lion. Sky was haunted, and in a fit of rage, he drove over with a fighter jet. Steve expressed his desire to cry, but the two great gods directly demolished the entire island. He hid and watched the play from beginning to end, and finally found a small boat and quietly left the ghost place. On Leon's side, after leaving Raccoon City, he was thinking about what to do in the future. At that time, the government noticed him. There are only a few survivors in Raccoon City, so it's hard not to be noticed. Thinking that this guy is very talented, I took the initiative to find him and wanted him to work for the government, and agreed to provide protection for Shirley by the way. As Leon completed more and more tasks, more and more difficult, and more terrifying, his identity became more and more in the organization. Higher, he also used a very tough attitude to make himself Shirley's guardian. As a price, he had to cooperate with the government and let them conduct a series of research on his body, but nothing was researched at all. The Lord God, the anti-cracking mechanism is still very good, so the old US government has studied Lee Sang-geun's whole body, and even counted the number of hairs on his J8, but nothing useful has been studied. Everyone sighed while listening to what others had experienced in the past few years. 6 years ago, they were just a group of small characters who couldn't make waves, surviving in the sea of corpses. The important members of international organizations are all contributing to world peace. It can only be said that life is like this. Maybe there was a young man who was selling cabbage pitifully in the vegetable market one day, and the next day he could hook up with the biggest in the local area. The restaurant specializes in the supply of cabbage, and the business grows bigger and bigger, and finally established its own cabbage breeding base. How about turning into a generation of cabbage king? So don't underestimate the vegetable sellers in the vegetable market. Let's make a hypothesis. An old man grew vegetables and sold them on the street because he was bored with nothing to do at home, but he was beaten by the city management, and finally his son, who is a local official, stepped forward. Find the psychological shadow area of urban management. Hey, why are you distracted again? Leon patted Tang Yuan's shoulder. I'm asking you, how have you been these few years? Me? Oh. Tang Yuan was still thinking about the issue of selling vegetables in the vegetable market just now, but was brought back to his senses by Leon, and after thinking for a while, he replied, "That's it, I met a group of monsters in Japan." The girl hooked up with an ancient demon girl in another world, and then went to the Cretaceous to adopt 2 dinosaurs. By the way, she also solved a big crisis that threatened all the creation gods, and saved the world. Maybe that's it. Sometimes I often wrap myself in the bed, wondering if I am living in a dream. After hearing what he said, everyone was silent for a while. This girl's life seemed to be more exciting than everyone present. It was like a novel. Compared to the BSAA and the American secret agents, they were all weak. To be continued. Chapter 272, Local Customs. Speaking of, where's the village chief? Didn't I hear that the village chief is up here? Leon then remembered that he was looking for the village chief. He looked around, but he couldn't see anyone in the room. Stranger. You mean Mr. Mendez? Tang Yuan raised his brows, pointed to the corner of the wall behind Leon while speaking. Look behind you. Leon turned his head, reached out and knocked. It's just a pillar. I asked you where the village chief is, but you said it. Big Lizzie, you'd better look up. Leon looked up. Wow, bald. I saw a bald old man blowing his beard and staring down at him with a depressed face, holding a recovery magic book, printed out from the USB flash drive Edwina gave him, in his hand, the big black beard trembling, he choked out a sentence. What's wrong with being tall? Blame me. So this huge size put a lot of pressure on Lee Sanguang. He took a trembling step back to see the whole picture of the village chief, and then said hello, Mr. Sen, the village chief, do you like playing basketball? Mendez looked back at Tang Yuan. Holy One, I suspect that there is something wrong with your friend. Should I try to use the holy healing hands I just learned to paste on his face? Maybe there's still hope. Tang Yuan shook his head. No need, this guy is hopeless. That's right, it's a pity, but priests should care for the disabled. I still want to try. After finishing speaking, Old Man Mendez rolled up his sleeves, covered his hands with a white light, and pressed down on the soles of his feet. Duong. Suddenly, a small white circle appeared in the room, and the people in the circle immediately felt refreshed. Needless to say, this is something that only God-level powerhouses above the holy level can comprehend. Dragged away and beaten to death, the restoration spells from the Leogan world are more friendly to the people than those of Warcraft. You want to be the pastor has to believe in the holy light. As long as we here are willing to study hard, anyone can use the holy light to smear other people's faces casually. So Lee Sanguang pretended to have returned to normal, and his face became serious. Well, Mr. Mendez, right? Mr. Mendez, I have something to ask you, but I'm actually here to find someone. Yes, the place where that person was last seen was near here. May I ask if there are other outsiders in the village besides them? Oh, I get it. Before Mendez could answer, Tang Yuan clapped his hands next to him. You are here to find me. Isn't it? The room fell silent for a while. After a long time, Lee Sanguang grinned. What? Tang Yuan began to wave his hands vigorously, looking very embarrassed. Oh. I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. Why bother you to come all the way here to pick me up? Ha ha ha. Immediately, Lee Sanguang's complexion changed. What the hell? You mean the superior asked me to find a VIP, without mentioning the name or giving any information, but it turned out that he was looking for you? Then why did the group of idiots in the superior give me any information? Don't give it to me. It's very simple. This guy put on a smile, his mouth opened, and his 8 teeth were shining with pure light, because I was actually messing with you, so I specially asked the superiors to throw you here. So Lee Sanguang's complexion became tangled. Think carefully, this guy is able to make the government issue such a nonsense order. It seems that the world is probably already under the control of this mentally handicapped. Really think carefully. Terrible. Fortunately, he was not too surprised by this. After all, he knew 6 years ago that this guy was not a normal person. Just think about it, he can draw a ball at random, and then this ball can turn people into mythical creatures. What is the identity of this person? I'm afraid he is the guy in the myth. Then what do you want me to do by bringing me here? Simply reminiscing about the old days? Or is there something important? Leon couldn't understand why this guy took so much trouble to fish him from the United States to Spain remote villages. Hey. Tang Yuan leaned over and whispered, do you still remember Wang Xiaoji by the Daming Lake? Bah, Miss Wang by the Daming Lake. Miss Wang. Lee Sanguang looked confused. Which Miss Wang? Lizzie Wang. Then who is it? This time Tang Yuan became confused again. I'm talking about the young lady surnamed Wang in Raccoon City. Oh? Ada? What's wrong with her? I heard that she doesn't seem to be dead. Lee Sanguang perked up when he heard about Ada. Why are you talking about her all of a sudden? It's very simple. Tang Yuan stretched out his hand and pointed out the window. She was eavesdropping outside. Oh, she's gone now. Depend on. Leon scrambled and rushed to the window, pushed the window door out with both hands, and saw a large area of dead trees outside, and a few crows screaming. How can there be any Ida? He turned around again, and said to Tang Yuan, are you kidding? How could she come here? Tang Yuan pointed at his back again. Look back again. Lee Sang-won looked back again. He first rubbed his eyes, then moved forward. Still no one. Look, run away again. Are you kidding me? At this moment, a villager knocked on the door and came in and said to Mendez, who was flipping a book in the corner, "Village Chief, Mr. Salazar has arrived, shall we start now?" Mendez closed the book in his hand, nodded and said, "Let's start, let the holy flame purify the sins of heresy." Tang Yuan happily followed the two of them out with a straw in his mouth. It's better not to smoke in the church, and he called everyone to follow. Come on, the fire has burned the living, and this life may only be can see this time. Hey, follow closely. Should this be regarded as respecting local customs? Lee Sang-won was still thinking about whether he should report these guys, but when he realized that he was the only one left in the room, he also ran out quickly. According to them, it seems that they are going to burn Silly Delay to death on the spot. It seems that there is nothing wrong with this village. Strong medieval sense of sight. Probably the local police station can only give a warning to the senior village official, village head, in this place, and dare not intervene too much, right? After all, local customs must be respected. But then again, this is the era of spiritual civilization, where in the hell would there be such customs? Africa? Okay, nothing wrong, but this is Europe, Spain. In other words, since Wesker can use satellites to monitor every move of the villagers in this village, why can't the authorities? Why didn't the authorities respond at all until the big raccoon single-handedly entered the mud village and came here 7 times and 7 times out? Haven't noticed anything unusual in this village, even if Spain does not have this ability, but BSAA always has the ability, right? It was 2004 at that time, and BSAA was founded in 2003. Well, the world is too big to monitor it just by satellite. But, thinking about it again, there are a lot of dead heads piled up in the stairwell of the old man Lee's house at the entrance of the village, which means that many outsiders have died here. If so many people are missing, no one will feel that there is something wrong here. It can only be said that the plot needs it. So don't worry about so many original issues now, let's have fun together. To be continued. Stupidly happy, mom sells batches, Lao Tzu's dream of dominating the world. Exclamation mark. Chapter 273 The Dying Naruto. When going out on missions all day, Naruto looked a little restless. Very absent-minded, and always distracted, the whole person looks like he has lost his soul. The fellow Sakura and Sasuke have reminded him many times, but it is useless. Kakashi, who leads the team, seems to see something, but because he is wearing a mask, I don't know what his expression is. So, what happened to Naruto? Since Shinan just does some non-combat low-level tasks, chores, it doesn't matter if he is distracted, and everyone doesn't care much about why he is so abnormal. Soon, the three of them completed the task of weeding the vegetable field and followed Kaka. After going back to the west and handing in the task, he looked at the sky and disbanded. Kakashi disappeared directly in place, and Sakura bounced back to her home. Because the three of them took different routes to go home, they usually said goodbye to each other after disbanding and then went home separately. Hey, Naruto. But Sasuke stopped Naruto, who looked abnormal, and asked with a frown, "What's going on with you today?" "It's abnormal." "Me?" Sigh. Naruto looked back at him, and heaved a long sigh. His 12-year-old face was full of vicissitudes. After all, he is old. As he said that, he reached out and touched the head of Zyoju, who was sitting on his shoulder. Remember, this little guy was given away by that prodigal son of Tang Yuan. Heaving a long sigh again, he looked as if he had aged several decades. Old? What's old? Sasuke's eyebrows furrowed tighter and tighter. The status of the team members can determine the life and death of a team. If you are like this, I don't feel relieved to fight with you. Sasuke, come here. Naruto waved to him, his tone full of disillusionment. He walked to a small step and sat down, then patted himself next to him. Come, sit here. Sasuke walked over and sat down next to him without knowing why. What are you doing? This morning, I was plotted against. Naruto squinted his eyes and looked at the sunset in the distance, and said calmly, my life is not long, my life is not long. Being plotted against? Then why didn't you say it earlier? What's going on? So Sasuke couldn't calm down. Naruto slowly told him what happened this morning. In the harmonious morning as always, the child of calamity who was possessed by the nine tails woke up from his dream, stretched his waist, and said hello to the little fox lying on his lap. Good morning, Nine Tubes. Please don't pay attention to that seemingly coincidental name. After washing up, he checked the time, and it was still early for the assembly, so he had time to have some breakfast. So he took a few coupons for Yao Ramen, put the 9 tubes on his shoulder, and went out. There was nothing to say along the way, anyway. It was just the disgusting eyes of passers-by, and the little kids throwing stones at him. Anyway, he had gotten used to it over the years, and soon he came to Yao Ramen shop, and at this time he beat his hand. The uncle, whose name made me complain once, was yawning and tidying up the shop, and when he saw him coming in, he lazily raised his hand and shook. "Oh, Naruto, it's so early every time." He yawn. "It's nice to be young. I was almost like you back then, uncle." "One tonkatsu ramen." Naruto smiled and took out a coupon. "Add more eggs." "Thank you." "Okay, a piece of tonkatsu ramen." He yawn again. "Just wait a while." He took the coupon with his hand, tore a gap on it, threw it into the drawer next to him, and slowly he walked slowly into the kitchen. At this time, 2 voices came from outside the store, getting closer and closer. "Mom, where do we go to eat?" "What are we going to eat?" "I don't know. Let's take a look around." "Anyway, it's so early in the morning, the boss hasn't woken up yet. Just take a copy back for him when the time comes." "Mom, what is that?" "Huh? Oh, that, Yael, it seems to be ramen." "Mom, I want to eat ramen." "Well, let's eat ramen." Then someone lifted the curtain and walked in. "Excuse me, is anyone there?" Naruto stared at the 2 people who came in, and was stunned. The person who came in seemed to be a big sister who never surpassed her. She had short silver gray hair, was wearing a light green sleeveless shirt and dark gray crop pants, and a dark green coat around her waist. They all exude a fresh fragrance of green grass, and the very energetic dress makes people feel refreshed just by looking at them. Holding a little girl who looks about 10 years old with her right hand. This little girl has long golden curly hair. There is a big dull hair on the top of the head, wearing a short fur skirt, bouncing around. So Naruto looked at the big sister and stopped thinking for a while. If he was a hunk, maybe he would blurt out a sentence now. "What a beautiful chicken." But Naruto is not a macho, so he kept silent. When he recovered, he quickly looked down at his fingernails, and at the same time quietly drifted his eyes there. The hand-slapping uncle woke up from the decadent state of yawning in an instant, and he came to the front full of energy, and said loudly, "Welcome. What noodles do you want to eat?" "What kind of noodles?" "Let's think about it, The girl who looked like a mother looked at the menu posted on the wall next to her, lowered her head and asked, "What kind of noodles do you want to eat with star anise?" The blonde little girl bit her lip and thought for a while. "Barbecue? Wouldn't it be uncomfortable to eat this in the morning, Mom?" So the big sister said, "You can't eat barbecue in the morning, boss. Why don't you have 2 special ramen noodles from our shop?" "Oh. Wait a minute." The hand-slapping uncle immediately stood at attention and yelled. He entered the kitchen in a flash, and then there was a sound like a demolition office. The big sister took the little lolly and sat down at the table in a gentle manner, and when she saw Naruto sitting beside her, she smiled and nodded at him, and the little lolly in her arms also waved to him with a smile. Immediately, Naruto turned his face away, not daring to look over there again. He felt that he had shortness of breath, his heart beat faster, and his body temperature rose sharply, as if he had been poisoned. After persisting for a long time, he finally suppressed the discomfort, finished his share of ramen, and then left Yao and ran to gather. "So that's it, I haven't been feeling well all day today, and whenever I calm down, the big sister comes to my mind. I'm sure this must be some kind of slow-moving illusion to torture to death. So, Sasuke, I'm not sure if this technique will be contagious, but you'd better stay away from me. And those 2 people are not from the village, they must be from outside. Go and report this to Grandpa Hokage." As Naruto spoke, he moved to the side, keeping a certain distance from Sasuke. Sasuke looked at this guy's expression, thought about it carefully, and seemed to understand something, so he stood up with drooping eyelids, knocked his heels on the steps, and walked away with his hands in his trouser pockets. Before leaving, he dropped 5 words, "Stupid." "Hey? What do you mean? I'm going to die." Naruto lost his composure, and he yelled at Sasuke's back, "Come back. Are you saying something to someone who is about to die sadly? To be a human being, you must have a conscience." Seeing that Sasuke didn't respond at all, and left without looking back, he sighed again, holding the 9 barrels in both hands to be at eye level with him. The little fox looked at him, blinked his eyes, and let out a soft cry. Naruto looked at the little fox, as if he was talking to himself, but also as if he was really asking. He murmured, "Am I really going to die?" To be continued. Chapter 274. Soge, IN number 039, am going to die. As a result, Naruto sat alone on the steps for a while, feeling that he was getting more and more uncomfortable, and even had a hallucination-like feeling. He always felt that he could see the big sister laughing and jumping not far away, and finally, his heart beat. It's time to sacrifice himself to contribute to the entire Muai village, so he stood up and walked towards Hokage's office building. Then, at the entrance of the building, he saw a scene that left him dumbfounded. Oh, vicious fire burning in the depths of hell. Listen to my call, come from the place where the gods retreat, and let my enemies suffer endless pain. Scorching, dark sea of fire. How is the boss? Is our line just now handsome? It feels so good. Liu Ranunculus, this line is good in every way, but isn't it too secondary? Huh? Why do you have such an evaluation? Boss, you are a bit too much? Naruto looked inexplicably at the bouncing big sister not far away, and suddenly felt a burst of rapid heartbeat, difficulty breathing, rising body temperature, blushing, and a little bit of consciousness. No, this woman is poisonous, terrible. Thinking of this, he couldn't help speeding up his pace, wanting to run to Hokage and report this. Then he noticed the guy standing with his big sister, that strange man in a black coat. Naruto will not forget this guy, because his 9 barrels were given by this guy, although it is a bit strange, but anyway he must be a good person, otherwise he would not give away things casually. Since he is a good person, let him keep a distance from the big sister, otherwise it will be bad if he is also plotted by this big sister. Thinking of this, Naruto ran to the side of the strange man. Huh? Oh. Silly, kid, long time no see. It looks like you take good care of this child. This man was Tang Yuan, and he saw Naruto running towards him, so he said, "Hello, I see that your face is not quite right, what's the matter?" "Uncle, stay away from that big sister." Naruto stood in front of Tang Yuan, pointed at Liu Yun and began to call out, "This big sister can kill people. I've already been tricked." What murder? Tang Yuan thought about his unclear words, but still didn't understand the meaning, and asked, "What's wrong with Liu Yun?" Then he pushed Naruto away again, grabbed Liu Yun by the collar and lifted him up. "Liu Yun, what are you doing?" "Hey? What are we doing?" Liu Yun was lifted up in midair and dangled with his legs left and right. If his tail hadn't been retracted, his tail would have been dangling with his legs. He tilted his head and thought about it. He asked, "We didn't do anything." Seeing Tang Yuan lift him up, Naruto next to him didn't know what was going on in his head, so he said, "Uncle, let her go." "Ah?" Tang Yuan asked Naruto with a confused face. "Why? You look weird today, kid." Me, this big sister." Naruto was going to say something about the illusion, but for some reason, his heart beat faster again, his breathing was difficult, his body temperature rose, his face was red, and he was in a trance. So I froze there not knowing what to say. Seeing his reaction, Tang Yuan looked at the 6 ranunculus in his hand, blinked his eyes, and immediately understood. Then he showed a strange smile. "You kid, don't you like this guy?" "Ah. What?" Naruto asked subconsciously first, and then backed away again and again, waving his hands back and forth. "How is it possible? This big sister is going to use illusion to kill me. I feel uncomfortable all over. How could I, like? Hey? Uncle, what does it feel like to like someone?" Tang Yuan glanced back and forth between Liu Yun and the kid for a long time, and said, "When did you two meet?" Liu Yun replied weakly, "This morning, at the Yao Ramen place. The kid was there when we took the star anise there, probably saw us at that time." "Do you have any questions, boss?" "It's nothing, cough." Tang Yuan looked at Naruto again. "Little ghost, do you feel your heart beating faster, your body temperature rising, and your breathing difficult? And when you calm down, this guy is smiling at you." "Ah. Uncle, how do you know? This must be some kind of illusion. It's really scary. Is there a way to help me undo this illusion? I'm still young and I don't want to die. It's very simple." With a malicious smile on his face, he carried the 6 ranunculus and walked a few steps towards Naruto, and Naruto took a few steps back after seeing this. "Uncle, what are you doing?" Tang Yuan held the homunculus, brought him closer to Naruto, and said, This so-called illusion, well, it's actually very simple. Kid, listen carefully, maybe this guy looks cute, but it's a man. The scene was quiet for a moment, and then Naruto flew out a word from his mouth in a daze. Huh? Okay, it's over. Tang Yuan threw Leokunculus to the ground. Your illusion has been solved by me. Yes, I saved your life. You are welcome, I will be grateful. 5. Forget it, you don't have to give it. As if Naruto didn't hear him, he stood there without saying a word. First he blinked his eyes, then stretched out his hand to pat his face, and finally pressed his hand on his chest, not knowing what he was feeling, and then suddenly he was startled. He exhaled. Huh? Suddenly healed? I'm fine? Uncle, you are really amazing. Yes, I'm really good. Tang Yuan dragged Liu Yun into the office building with black lines all over his head, seeing Naruto still staying where he was and his hands kept groping around his body as if he had lost money, so he said, okay, you're really fine now, kid, go home and masturbate to Sakura's picture. If something happens, I'll find you myself. After speaking, he dragged Liu Yun into Hokage's office building, leaving Naruto alone with a dazed expression, checking himself for any discomfort. Oh, I'm really fine. And the big sister was caught by the uncle and went to Grandpa Hokage. Very good, Uzumaki. Naruto saved Konoha village again. Jiotong, let's go. Tonight I want to eat 10 bowls of ramen. Mew. In this way, with a proud smile, Naruto led the little fox towards the Yao ramen shop in the sunset. He didn't know that his first love ended before it even started without him noticing it. To be continued. Chapter 275, Learning from the West. Before Tang Yuan came to look for the 3-generation-old man, he had already said hello in advance, and said that he had something important to discuss with Konoha's senior management, so when he walked into the office building with Leo Ranunculus, he was not stopped by anything, and went all the way. Come to Hokage's office. After a while, I don't know what he said to the 3-generation-old man, and he walked out with a smile on his face, and said to Liu Yun, did you see it? I got 98 billion, let's go and eat. Oh. Boss, how much is 98 billion? It's not much, it's enough to buy 2 handicrafts. Then what are you happy about, boss? Why are you happy? Shouldn't I be happy? This is our belief. Tang Yuan took out 2 cans of beer, opened them, and handed one to Liu Yun. Come on, brother, Harrington, cheers. Oh. Cheers. Boss, who is Harrington? The two gradually drifted away, and behind them, in Konoha's office building, people began to come in and out with a bunch of scrolls in their hands, sending these unknown things to various departments. Good morning. Sasuke. HMPH, idiot. Good morning. Sakura. Well, good morning. What's wrong with 9 tubes? Didn't you wake up? Woo, you look so cute when you yawn. Good morning. Kakashi-sensei. Hey? Where is Mr. Kakashi? Naruto came to the place where the 7th class used to gather, but in the end there was only Sasuke Sakura standing there, plus himself. No matter how counted, there were only 3 people, and the leader who covered his face couldn't help but run away. That guy is very mysterious, I'm afraid he lost his way on the road of life again. Sasuke looked up at the sky at 45 degrees, and his appearance looked like a worried little girl. Martian text is really brain-burning, although I converted it online. Ms. Kakashi is really too much, I have known this for a week. Note, unless someone deliberately adjusts, the speed of time passing between worlds is different. Look at the biochemical world, it has already passed 6 its biochemical, year, and it's only been a few days since the last time here, but I've never arrived on time. Can we complain to him? Sakura looks soft and cute. God knows at this moment, her personality is yelling something, nothing more than kill the fuck or something. Seeing this, Naruto found a place to sit down, hugged the 9 tubes on his head and put them in his arms. The 2 foxes, one big and one small, looked surprisingly harmonious. He complained with dissatisfaction on his face, that masked man doesn't look like a serious guy from left to right, maybe he fell into a ditch on the way here. Anyway, judging by his virtue, even if there is a ditch in front of him, maybe you're too lazy to take a detour. That's right. Kakashi suddenly appeared behind Naruto, stretched out his hand and knocked him on the head, then walked up to the 3 of them with a pile of books in his arms, ignoring Naruto holding his head and shouting loudly, and said to the 3 of them, come, let's distribute the teaching materials. Teaching materials. Sakura, who is a top student, is no stranger to this stuff. After all, ninjas can't be made entirely by enthusiasm, Xiaoli, huh? And they still need to learn a lot of theoretical knowledge, so when she saw the textbooks, she felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. After all, more than a week ago, this group of ninjas were still holding books and chewing on words at school. That's right, it's the teaching material. Yesterday, after a series of negotiations, a very important person in Konoha's senior management reached a consensus. The higher-ups decided to randomly draw among the ninja of this session. Of course, this so-called random is actually the appointed ones are probably only our 7th class, then the 8th class of Sister Xiaohong, the 10th class of Asma, and the 3rd class of that Gaiakai. Only the 4 of you were selected, treated as an experimental class to see what effects these things can have. At the same time, besides you, many relevant departments have also set up experimental groups to test the effects of these things. You can see it when you enter the hospital with a broken leg. However, the trio of snakes and clams have no sisters, and the newly established hospital laboratory building is quite good. Oh, the 3rd shift of Akai I mentioned, don't you know each other yet? It's the little devils from last year, who are much better than you. Hey, are you listening? At this time, the snake slug and clam trio didn't pay attention to him at all, but rummaged through the pile of books for a while. Huh? Kakashi-sensei, this. Sakura took out a book with flame patterns on it, held it up high and asked, the name of this book is so strange. Department of Destruction? What is it called? Destruction System. Well, according to what the Lord said, it seems that this is a ninjutsu that has been passed down from the far western continent. But our navigation technology is not developed, and we can't do it on the sea. It's a long-distance voyage, so it's not clear whether there is water in this statement. Maybe the western continent really exists, and that Lord walked all the way from the sea? Or maybe he flew over, ninjutsu in the western continent. Sakura opened the book, looked at the first page, and blurted out, the first section of the first unit, the fire tongue technique? It sounds like fire breathing? Don't we have it here? Is it similar ninjutsu? It is still ready-made. The specific situation is like this. Kakashi is worthy of the name of a genius. He seems to have learned the usage of this fire tongue technique in one night. He spread out one hand, and a cluster of flames several meters high rose up from the palm of his hand. Like this, it is said that the limit distance is only 10 meters, but Western ninjutsu does not require seals and word spirits, and can be cast with a hand out of a word. It can be regarded as some kind of superiority. Oh. Naruto was excited when he saw it. This is amazing. Coach. I want to learn this. Learning from your MB, I still only know a little bit. Kakashi said back, our mission today is this, come with me to find a clean place where no one will disturb you, and then read a book. It doesn't matter if you are a mission, because it is an experimental class, so even if you don't do tasks, it will not affect your ninja evaluation, but the number of completed tasks may be a bit horrible, right? It's no big deal. You're an idiot. If you want to really look at the data, then why fight? You think so? Let's fight a pair of data. Whoever has the higher data will win. If this is the case, the whole world's painting style will change. Okay, let's not talk about this. You come with me and put the book on. So the snake slug trio looked at the pile of books here, moved a pile with resentment on their faces, and followed Kakashi in one direction. To be continued. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.